Chapter 1888. Qin Wentian dragged the gigantic sword as he released his spacetime sword Dao. His entire body circulated with the sword intent of spacetime as he released his sword domain astral soul. The astral light from his astral soul frenziedly flowed into the gigantic sword, and at the same time, countless swords appeared around him. The starry space transformed into a world of swords. Qin Dangtian was still unmoved. Even if Qin Wentian, who had just comprehended the great Tao, could erupt forth with strength that was shocking, so what of it? The ending wouldn't be any different. Because, the person Qin Wentian was facing was him. Let alone the current Qin Wentian, even if Qin Wentian stabilized his cultivation base and grew stronger, what could he do to Qin Dangtian? Let me show you my heavenly Tao astral soul. I'll show you what a true Tao is. Qin Dangtian arrogantly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, he released his astral soul. The Tao of heavenly deities, the Tao was infused into his astral soul. Astral souls were the foundation of the Tao. In the past, Qin Wentian had already comprehended this point. At that time, he unleashed his Tao might using his astral soul. Hence, both Luotian Yu and Luotian Chuan knew that Qin Wentian has already touched upon the threshold of the heavenly deity Tao. The astral soul Qin Dangtian released was extremely resplendent. It was an astral soul from the 9th heavenly layer. This was the astral soul he condensed after he became a heavenly deity. This was also the final astral soul he condensed. This astral soul didn't have any form and was different from the vast majority of astral souls. It was a screen of light that was extremely resplendent. Within it, countless ancient characters could be seen. These characters seemed to originate from the primordial era and didn't exist in the present. They kept on changing, transforming into new characters. The resplendent light from the astral soul enveloped the starry space. These ancient characters exuded the will of a monarch, transcending everything. At this moment, Qin Dangtian was like the true heaven's son, destined by fate. He was a heaven's chosen by the heavens. It's very rare for me to release my 9th astral soul, the absolute beginning astral soul. You should feel honored. I'll let you experience the might of the absolute beginning Tao. Qin Dangtian's tone was filled with incomparable arrogance. Back then when Qin Wentian participated in the convention of the myriad realms, he had once met a hegemonic level expert with the title of the absolute beginning overlord. But in truth, the absolute beginning overlord wasn't worthy of this title. Right now, Qin Dangtian's 9th astral soul was the absolute beginning astral soul, comprehending the absolute Tao. Many heavenly deities stared at Qin Dangtian. They all knew the meaning behind the word absolute beginning. Since Qin Dangtian dared to use this name, it meant that he was confident and tyrannical. All of them wanted to see how strong Qin Dangtian's absolute beginning heavenly Tao was. Qin Zheng's wife had a faint smile on her face when she saw Qin Dangtian releasing his astral soul. She knew that after her son was humiliated in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he returned to the Qin clan and entered closed-door seclusion. It was only after he came out did he have some accomplishments in the absolute beginning heavenly Tao. Now, this was the first time he displayed this ability before the world. She knew how strong her son was. Let alone Qin Wentian, even if it was some famous heavenly deities in the supreme ancient immortal realms, her son would be able to defeat them. I want him alive. Qin Zheng spoke to Qin Dangtian. He was worried that Qin Dangtian's attacks would be too ferocious and he might accidentally kill Qin Wentian. If that was the case, his plans would be disrupted. Right now, Qin Wentian mustn't die yet. There was still some use in keeping him alive. Luotian Chuan was somewhat worried. However, he was being held back by Qin Zheng and had no time to be distracted. In the starry space, there were many experts spectating. The lofty heavenly deities all had expressions of interest on their faces as they watched this deity-level battle. Even for them, it was extremely rare to see a battle between heavenly deities. After all, In the boundlessly vast supreme ancient immortal realms, there were only so many heavenly deities. No one believed in Qin Wentian. Everyone was waiting for Heaven's Son to unleash his brilliance again. The disparity between the two of them was simply too great. Even if Qin Wentian had shocking talent, how could he, who had just comprehended the Tao, fight against Heaven's Son? It was already extremely rare for him to be able to block a few of Qin Dangtian's earlier attacks. Since you have comprehended the sword Tao, in that case, I will use my sword to defeat you. I also want to see how powerful the absolute beginning sword Tao is. Qin Dangtian spoke again. He wanted to use the sword Tao to deal with Qin Wentian. From this, one could very well imagine how proud and confident he was. Naturally, if he truly comprehended the true intent of absolute beginning and his comprehension was very deep, no matter what Tao it was, he would be able to erupt forth with heaven-shaking might. Qin Dangtian stretched out his hand, guiding the sword into the absolute beginning sword Tao. After that, he stabbed out with his finger, "Go." As the sound of his voice faded, boundless sword light manifested from the absolute beginning sword Tao. At this moment, the entire world transformed into a world of swords. It was like a sword Tao was being brewed in this world. Everyone inclined their heads and stared at the starry space, staring at Qin Dangtian's absolute beginning heavenly Tao. The boundless sword light seemed to be born from the primordial chaos, transforming frenziedly, growing stronger and stronger. After that, it erupted forth and shot towards Qin Wentian. This boundless sword light seemed to grow stronger with every step it took, transforming and evolving on its own. Qin Wentian's body was locked down by the sword intent. The boundless sword light directly traversed the space, locking him in place. Qin Wentian stared at Qin Dangtian's Tao. The absolute beginning heavenly Tao, the sword intent, was actually evolving on its own. Not only that, it continued to grow stronger and stronger. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath. An incomparably resplendent screen of spacetime sword light appeared around him, distorting space, causing the descending sword light to be swept away by the chaotic flow of spacetime. But this wasn't the end. The fearsomeness of the absolute beginning sword Tao was that it could evolve on its own, growing stronger unceasingly, absorbing the power of the 10,000 Taos in heaven and earth to create an even stronger Tao art. Waves of terrifying sword intent enveloped the screen of sword light around Qin Wentian, distorting space, causing Qin Wentian's expression to stiffen. The absolute beginning heavenly Tao was borrowing his Tao to evolve an even stronger sword Tao, fusing his Tao art within. In the screen of light Qin Dangtian released, the sword Tao grew stronger and stronger, blasting towards Qin Wentian, wanting to transcend spacetime and was boundless. How powerful! Everyone sighed in admiration. To be able to comprehend such a heavenly Tao, Qin Dangtian was able to grow stronger as he fought against stronger opponents. His comprehension of the heavenly Tao had already reached such a tyrannical level. How terrifying would his future be? Qin Wentian was in the center of the storm. He stared at the absolute beginning heavenly Tao, feeling a little disappointed. Was this the strength of Heaven's Son, his destined enemy? Although he was proud in his heart and had extremely high talent, he couldn't help but to admit how strong Qin Dangtian was when facing against Heaven's Son. At the very least, Qin Dangtian, who had been in the heavenly deity realm for so many years, in terms of his comprehension of the heavenly Tao, it was true that Qin Dangtian was much stronger than him. After all, he had just comprehended his Tao not long ago. In terms of astral souls, he also didn't have an advantage. For the first time, he didn't have an advantage because he hadn't condensed his final astral soul. However, what Qin Dangtian released was his ultimate astral soul, the ninth astral soul, the absolute beginning astral soul. He used the absolute beginning astral soul to comprehend the Tao and infused his Tao into it, forming the absolute beginning Tao. Qin Dangtian was very arrogant, but since he was able to obtain the title of Heaven's Son, even if Qin Wentian didn't want to admit it, Qin Dangtian was truly very powerful. Not everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms was blind. Not everyone could be called Heaven's son. Right now, in the supreme ancient immortal realms, there was only one such person. But even if Qin Dangtian was very strong, so strong that it surpassed his imagination, Qin Wenqian's battle intent still surged. He could be defeated, but he mustn't lose his battle intent and show cowardice. This was his destined enemy, an opponent he had to defeat no matter what. As long as he didn't die, he would definitely defeat Qin Dangtian in the future. I've been in closed-door seclusion for many years, comprehending the absolute beginning Tao. As the first person to face me, you should feel honored. Qin Dangtian calmly spoke. His sword intent grew even stronger, wanting to slash apart everything. But at this instant, Qin Wenqian moved, advancing forward with no hesitation. He slashed out with the sword in his hand. This was his battle intent, his determination. All of this seemed to transcend spacetime, ignoring the distance between them and directly slashing towards Qin Dangtian's body. This was the spacetime sword Tao. Although it was only at the initial level, it still radiated a radiance that belonged to it. Qin Dangtian suddenly felt a sense of danger. After that, he sensed that the absolute beginning sword Tao seemed to transcend spacetime and was slashing towards his head. His expression changed and with a shrill howl, the absolute beginning sword Tao erupted forth with boundless transformations, transforming into the strongest attack, similarly transcending spacetime and slashing towards Qin Wenqian's body. Also, the absolute beginning sword Tao was endless, there was no end to it. A dazzling beam of light that seemed capable of splitting the heavens and earth radiated forth. After that, the spectators only saw the two of them separating from each other. But in that instant of collision, everyone could feel how terrifying it was. A bloody line appeared on Qin Dangtian's body. He stretched out his finger and touched the bloodstain as his expression grew extremely unsightly. He was actually injured. Qin Wenqian was in an even more miserable state. His body felt as though it was being cleaved apart. The absolute beginning sword Tao manifested unceasingly, wanting to sever his body. But by relying on his heaven-defying undying energy, he still managed to stand there. However, only he himself understood how badly injured his body was. Even his soul was heavily injured. He actually managed to injure Qin Dangtian. Everyone felt some shock in their hearts. Qin Wenqian had just comprehended a heavenly Tao. Although he was heavily injured, he still managed to injure Heaven's Son. This was simply a miracle. Chapter 1889. At the end of the Heaven Vault pathway, there was a stone tablet with the words God's Extinction Path. Up ahead, in the boundless universe, there were no stars but numerous ancient corpses could be seen floating there. It was unknown how many years have passed since they died, drifting about in the boundless universe. Over there was no aura of life at all. That place was the God's Extinction Path. God's Extinction Path, even for deities, they would still die if they entered. That was truly a path of death. But the Qin Wenqian right now was already facing a path of death. If he had to choose between death and being captured by the Qin clan, he would rather choose death. Being captured by the Qin clan would be even more painful than death. In addition, there might still be a ray of hope for survival in the God's Extinction Path. Hence, when Qin Wenqian arrived here and stared at the stone tablet, he didn't hesitate and stepped out. He walked towards the end of the ancient path, stepping into that desolate universe with no aura of life at all. With so many heavenly deities chasing after him, he had no other choice. Behind him, the heavenly deities of the Qin clan rushed over. Qin Dangtian also walked over and stared ahead. Their expressions were cold, hesitating if they should continue forward or not. The God's Extinction Path, the ancient corpses floating in the universe, the heavy and oppressive aura, the desolate and boundless space, all of these caused them to feel a sense of danger. However, Qin Wenqian was currently walking towards that desolate and oppressive space. Now, should they continue to capture him? In fact, even Qin Zheng gave up his battle against Luotian Chuan and came here. To him, Qin Wentian was much more important compared to Luotian Chuan. Although he had some grudges with the Luotian clan, the Qin clan had always been the victors. The Luotian clan had never shaken the Qin clan before. Hence, he didn't have a strong killing intent towards Luotian Chuan. What a ruthless fellow! Many heavenly deities silently mused in their hearts when they saw Qin Wentian walking towards the god's extinction path. He would rather enter the god's extinction path than allow the Qin clan to capture him. Where are you going? Qin Dangtian spoke. After that, he took a step out and also entered the end of the 9 heavenly layers, heading towards the desolate land. Danger! Qin Zheng's wife called out. Her beautiful eyes flashed as she stared at the figure moving forward. Her heart was filled with nervousness. Even for someone as powerful as her, she would still feel fear and respect towards the unknown. After all, this was the god's extinction path. At the end of the heaven vault, there were ancient heavenly deity corpses floating there. Who could guarantee that they would be able to return safely? However, Qin Dangtian didn't hesitate and stepped out. He was actually injured by Qin Wentian. This was simply unreasonable. He was fighting against Qin Wentian, how could he allow Qin Wentian to escape? Even if he escaped into the god's extinction path, he wouldn't allow it. He wanted him alive. He was the heaven's son and he had his own pride. Hence, he didn't hesitate to enter the god's extinction path. Chase. Qin Zheng's wife spoke. Her son entered the god's extinction path. At the end of the heaven vault, she naturally had to chase after him. Her silhouette flashed as she entered the desolate space. Qin Zheng's eyes flashed as he also followed after her. Not only was he chasing after them, he also had a trace of ambition in his heart, wanting to explore the end of the ancient path. Luotian Chuan's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. When he saw Qin Zheng and the others entering, he also followed after them. Have all of you gone mad? At the back, the Qinkuan sect leader stared at those experts who entered the god's extinction path. What would happen if all the deities died in there, unable to exit? Could it be that you don't want to see the greatest secret of this heaven vault? The 9 heavens mystical maiden calmly spoke. She was like a celestial maiden from the 9 heavenly layers, incomparably pure and holy. She stood in the air, causing even heavenly deities to fall into her charms. It's still you who understands me the most. The Qinkuan sect leader laughed. After that, he turned behind and shouted, if I can't come out, Lin Xiao will be my successor in the future. His voice shook the heavens and earth, drifting extremely far away. As the sound of his voice faded, he took a step forward. Who doesn't know how to be crazy? Naturally, he didn't do this because he wanted to chase after someone. It was purely because he was curious about the secrets of the heaven vault. After cultivating to his current level, he could already be considered to be standing at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Only a rare few could stand above him. But now, it was extremely difficult for him to take another step forward. He knew that those unknown existences in the supreme ancient immortal realms have long become terrifying characters. How could he not want to step into that realm? The heaven vault was connected to the 9 heavenly layers. The end of the heaven vault was known as the god's extinction path. How could he not be curious about it? The 9 heavens mystical maiden smiled. She floated forward like a celestial maiden from the 9 heavenly layers, heading towards the end of the heaven vault. Even the 9 heavens mystical maiden is heading there. Many people sighed in their hearts. The number 1 celestial maiden in the 9 heavenly layers, a supreme beauty, someone who exuded boundless magnificence, even she didn't hesitate to enter the god's extinction path. As men, why wouldn't they dare? Hence, more and more experts entered. Most probably, since the ancient times until now, there had never been so many experts who entered the god's extinction path at the same time. The people in the heaven vault were all shocked. If something happened to them, the entire supreme ancient immortal realms would surely be shaken. At the instant Qin Wentian stepped into the god's extinction path, he could already sense how terrifying this place was. There was no astral energy here, it was like no experts could borrow strength from this place. There was only desolation and desolation. Those ancient corpses seemed to be right in front of him, but they also seemed to be very, very far away, he had no way to reach them. He could see the people behind him chasing after him. As he continued upwards, a formless energy flowed in this desolate universe. When Qin Wentian stepped into it, his body actually vanished from sight. The people behind him were all swept into it as well, vanishing from the vision of everyone on the ancient Heaven Vault path. Where are they? The gazes of the experts on the Heaven Vault path froze. They personally witnessed the figures disappearing one after another, completely vanishing before their eyes. Regardless of vision or divine sense, they could no longer sense their figures. There wasn't even a trace of their auras left. Qin Wentian naturally sensed the flowing energy. In addition, he was extremely sensitive to it because he had comprehended this energy before. It was the power of spacetime. The him at this moment was actually shuttling through spacetime, he had no idea where he was heading to. In addition, the laws of spacetime here seemed to be completely chaotic, not under his control. He could only drift along with it, he had no other choice. Not only Qin Wentian entered this chaotic spacetime flow, the people behind him also entered, drifting through spacetime together. God's extinction path, could it be that those who disappeared in the past were all separated by the chaotic spacetime flow? It was unknown where they went to. In this chaotic spacetime flow, could they still return to where they came from? Although they were all heavenly deities with incomparably tough wills, it was inevitable for them to feel fear. Fear towards the unknown, fear of not being able to control their fates. At this moment, they saw a tangible object. The space here was no longer desolate. Instead, numerous corridors appeared, intersecting with each other. No one knew which corridor led to where. At this moment, Qin Wentian frowned. He could sense that the tiny astral being was moving again, radiating a faint glow. This made him feel somewhat strange. When he entered the Heaven Vault, the tiny astral being had already moved once. This was already the second time it reacted. Such a situation had never happened before. After walking for a very long time, a silhouette actually appeared in the middle of the long corridor. This silhouette was an old man, but his eyes shone with a piercing light as he stared at Qin Wentian. However, right now, Qin Wentian was still fleeing and had no time to linger. With a flash of his silhouette, the people behind him arrived. One of them asked, "Sir, who might you be?" The old man stared at the newcomers and asked, "Where did you guys come from?" "Heaven Vault." Qin Jing replied. "Heaven Vault, Heaven Vault. Why must you do this?" The old man let out a long sigh and stepped out. "Old sir, you have yet to tell us your name. Could it be that you are also from the supreme ancient immortal realms?" Someone asked. "This old man is called Juqing." The old man calmly spoke. After that, his figure gradually vanished. When they heard his name, the expressions of some heavenly deities changed as shock could be seen on their faces. Taoist Juqing. They exchanged mutual glances. An extremely ancient and powerful heavenly deity. There were records of him in the ancient records. Back then, he once dominated the supreme ancient immortal realms and roamed about alone, rarely suffering defeat. It was unknown how terrifying he was. Everyone in the world thought that he had died, but in reality, he was trapped in the god's extinction path at the end of the Heaven Vault. Qin Wentian casually walked through the corridor. He saw a second person. This person was incomparably suave and had long hair. He sat in the middle of the corridor and was currently playing a flute. A melodious melody drifted out from the flute, extremely pleasing to the ears. What a handsome silhouette! A feeling of familiarity appeared in Qin Wentian's heart, as though they had met before. When that person saw Qin Wentian, he stopped playing the flute. His handsome eyes stared at Qin Wentian as a strange light flashed in his eyes. Qin Wentian walked past him. That person suddenly called out, "Who is Qin Yuanfeng to you?" Qin Wentian's body trembled violently. He halted and turned his head, staring at that handsome figure as shock filled his heart. "You are acquainted with my father?" Qin Wentian asked. "So it is Yuanfeng's son." That person smiled, his gaze grew warmer. But at this moment, Qin Dangtian and the others arrived. Qin Dangtian took the lead and stared at Qin Wentian. "Even if you walk to the end of the heavens, you won't be able to escape." The gods' extinction path was the end of the heavens. From a certain perspective, they had indeed walked to the end of the heavens. "Who are you?" That handsome figure stared at Qin Dangtian as he asked. "Who are you? Why are you acquainted with the traitor of my Qin clan, Qin Yuanfeng?" Qin Dangtian asked after hearing the conversation between him and Qin Wentian earlier. Qin Zheng and his wife also rushed over. When they stared at that handsome figure, both father and son could sense a sense of familiarity from him. It was like they had met before. Chu Mo, the handsome figure, calmly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, the eyes of Qin Zheng and his son narrowed as they froze there. Chu Mo, these two words had an extraordinary meaning to Qin Zheng and his son. Because, the number one beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang, whom Qin Dangtian was going to marry, was none other than his daughter. Chapter 1890. Qin Dangtian glanced at Chu Mo. Chu Mo was incomparably handsome and extremely carefree. No wonder he could give birth to the number one beauty of the heaven region, goddess Nikhang. Both father and daughter had some similarities, causing him to feel a sense of familiarity. Nephew Dangtian pays his respects to uncle. Qin Dangtian clasped his hands. If Nikhang knew that uncle is still alive, she would surely be very happy. Nikhang. Chu Mo's eyes trembled. How was his daughter doing outside? You are acquainted with my daughter? Chu Mo stared at Qin Dangtian as he asked. Brother Chu. Qin Zheng stepped out and spoke to Chu Mo. I've long heard of Brother Chu's name, but sadly, I didn't have the chance to get to know you. I didn't expect that I would be able to meet Brother Chu here. Most probably, this is fate. Before I entered the heaven vault, I paid a visit to Uncle Chu and arranged the marriage between my son and Nikhang. Marriage? Chu Mo's body trembled. His daughter actually had a marriage arranged. Who are you? Chu Mo asked. The current clan leader of the Qin clan, Qin Zheng. This is my wife and my son, Qin Dangtian. Qin Zheng replied. Chu Mo's gaze landed on Qin Dangtian again. He naturally wasn't unfamiliar with the Qin clan. On the contrary, he was very familiar with the Qin clan. He became famous earlier and was older than Qin Zheng. Hence, he had never interacted with Qin Zheng before. However, he was acquainted with Qin Zheng's father, Qin Ding and Qin Tiangang. He was also acquainted with Qin Yuanfeng. Earlier, you said that your Qin clan betrayed Qin Yuanfeng. Chu Mo stared at Qin Dangtian as he asked. Uncle Chu, Qin Yuanfeng once betrayed our Qin clan and has long since become a traitor. Many years ago, he was killed by the Qin clan. As for this young man, he is none other than Qin Wentian, one of his descendants. Qin Dangtian pointed to Qin Wentian. It was precisely because he fled here that we chased him all the way here. To think that we would meet Uncle Chu here. Most probably, this is fate's arrangement. From what I know, Yuanfeng is a heroic character. Why would he betray the Qin clan? Chu Mo didn't believe it. He glanced at Qin Wentian. He naturally understood that because their standpoints were different, the words of a single person couldn't be trusted. Wentian greets Uncle Chu. Qin Wentian was also very polite. At this moment, he certainly knew who the handsome man in front of him was. Moreover, from his tone, it could be inferred that he knew his father, and their relationship should be good. The people of the Qin clan are shameless to the extreme. It's true that my father betrayed the Qin clan, but that was because the Qin clan had let my father down. My father was indomitable throughout his life and initially wanted to live in seclusion with my mother to cultivate. However, Qin Zheng, that despicable villain, actually found a way to deal with him. Even after he was defeated, he still used all sorts of methods. In the end, my father killed his way into the Qin clan and was stripped of everything he had. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Chu Mo froze as a look of sorrow flashed in his eyes. Yuanfeng actually died? A bunch of nonsense. You are the son of a traitor of my Qin clan, you will naturally speak for him. Uncle, don't believe him. After speaking, he stepped out and continued walking towards Qin Wentian. Even if you flee to the ends of this world, I will still capture you and bring you back to the Qin clan. Yuanfeng actually died as well. In the end, he didn't manage to escape his fate. Chu Mo mumbled, his tone was filled with sorrow. Also. The experts here stared at Chu Mo. When they heard this word, a strange look appeared on their faces. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian carefully stared at Chu Mo. Qin Zheng then asked, Brother Chu, why are you so sad because of a traitor? What kind of place is the God's extinction path at the end of the heaven vault? Brother Chu, why don't you come with me and barge our way out? Barge our way out? Chu Mo's handsome gaze turned to Qin Zheng. I hope you guys will be lucky and be able to exit the God's extinction path. As for me, I have no chance at all. Uncle, why are you saying this? Qin Dangtian asked. However, when he spoke, his tone was still as calm as ever, with no emotions at all. Even though the person before him was Nichang's father, the person he liked to be indifferent to was goddess Nikhang. It didn't matter much if Nichang's father appeared. However, Chu Mo was acquainted with Qin Yuanfeng and their relationship wasn't bad. In here, everything you see, everyone might not be from the same spacetime. They might come from a spacetime in the past. I am one of them. Chu Mo slowly spoke. In the spacetime of the future, I've already died on the God's extinction path. The spacetime of the past? The hearts of everyone trembled. The place they entered was actually a spacetime of the past. Chu Mo had actually died. Right now, he no longer existed, he only existed in the spacetime of the past. As for them, they had arrived at a spacetime in the past of the God's extinction path. This was simply unbelievable. Every expert here felt their hearts trembling. How did Brother Chu die? Qin Zheng asked again. His eyes were filled with heat, he wasn't concerned about Chu Mo's life or death. Rather, he wanted to know how Chu Mo died. He wanted to know what Chu Mo had experienced. Only then would he be able to unravel the secrets of the God's extinction path. Chu Mo calmly glanced at Qin Zheng before turning to Qin Dangtian. He suddenly felt a sense of unease. He didn't like this father and son duo very much so. Since you addressed me as Brother Chu, can you promise me to spare him? After all, I'm acquainted with Yuanfeng. Now that you guys have entered this place, your life and death are unknown. Why do you still want to fight? Chu Mo suddenly spoke. Some of his words came from the bottom of his heart. Naturally, some of it was because he wanted to probe Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian. Brother Chu, this young man is the son of the traitor Qin Yuanfeng. Our Qin clan has to capture him no matter what. I hope Brother Chu can understand. Qin Zheng rejected. Uncle, I will definitely walk out of the God's extinction path. As for Nikhang, you don't have to worry. I will take good care of her on your behalf. In the future, her future will definitely be higher than everyone else. Qin Dangtian arrogantly spoke. Chu Mo stared at this father and son duo. They seemed to be very similar, as expected of father and son. If you can survive this, help me tell my father and Nikhang. Tell them that I, Chu Mo, do not agree to this marriage. Chu Mo transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's expression trembled before he nodded lightly. If he could survive this, he would definitely pass this message to Nikhang. From his perspective, he also didn't wish for goddess Nikhang to marry Qin Dangtian. Chu Mo saw Qin Wentian nodding. The flute in his hand was placed in front of his mouth again as he slowly played it. The melody of the flute was melodious, filled with hints of longing and sorrow. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian stared at him. Upon seeing Chu Mo playing the flute, he no longer bothered about them. Qin Dangtian turned his gaze onto Qin Wentian again as he stepped out. Do you still want to flee? As he spoke, the experts of the Qin clan stepped out, completely sealing off all the paths of escape for Qin Wentian. Luotian Chuan also stepped out, appearing before Qin Wentian. He didn't expect that even after walking all the way to the god's extinction path, he still couldn't escape from the pursuit of the Qin clan. The Qin clan actually spared no expense, chasing him all the way to the end of the 9 heavenly layers. Grandfather, you don't have to care about me. Qin Wentian sighed. Luotian Chuan stared at him, his expression was incomparably calm as he spoke. You are my grandson. Qin Wentian's heart trembled, he only felt an incomparable warmth in his heart. This was his grandfather, the father of his mother. Since this is the case, grandfather, let's fight. Qin Wentian calmly smiled as his aura gushed forth. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian both coldly laughed. What was the point of struggling before death? Just as their auras erupted forth, the melody of the flute continued, transforming into the might of the great Tao. The sound waves spread out in all directions. At this moment, time and space seemed to be distorting as the space-time corridor changed. The melody of the flute seemed to have created a passageway, allowing everyone to pass through it. It was unknown which space-time they were heading to. This. The experts stared at Chu Mo. Chu Mo seemed so near yet so far away from them at the same time. He was so handsome, he still sat there quietly, playing the flute. It was like nothing in the world would be able to shake his heart. What is he doing? Someone asked. No one knew, but they had a feeling similar to when they passed through spacetime earlier. They knew that the melody of the flute contained the might of the great Tao, allowing them to pass through spacetime. No one knew what Chu Mo wanted to do. He only continued to play the flute, causing everyone to wander through the endless spacetime. In different spacetime, they saw different people. All of them were in the heaven vault. It was unknown if they were trapped or had already died. He wants to send us to a certain spacetime. An expert spoke, understanding Chu Mo's intentions. But what they didn't understand was which spacetime Chu Mo wanted to send them to exactly. Finally, when they saw a figure appearing in a certain spacetime, the melody of Chu Mo's flute suddenly calmed down. Spacetime no longer flowed, his figure grew further and further away, gradually vanishing from the vision of everyone. Another figure appeared in his place. This figure stood there, resembling a towering ancient mountain, yet also like a tall pine tree. His long hair was as black as ink, fluttering in the wind. The contours of his face were incomparably clear. At the instant he saw this figure, Qin Wentian's heart involuntarily trembled. Not only for him, when they saw this figure, the gazes of Qin Zheng, Luotian Chuan, and the others all froze, staring at the person who appeared before them. The eyes of this person were so deep and terrifying. That pair of eyes seemed to contain 1,000,000,000,000 constellations. He stared at Qin Wentian, it was like in his eyes, there was only Qin Wentian. Their gazes intersected, it felt like they were separated by samsara, separated by boundless spacetime. However, Chu Mo's flute melody caused time and space to merge, allowing them to meet each other. Qin Dangtian stared at the imposing young man before him as he frowned. He also sensed something. He turned his gaze to his father, only to see his father staring intently at the young man. As for the young man, he didn't even glance at him. My name is Qin Wentian, Qin Yuanfeng's son. At this moment, Qin Wentian suddenly spoke, revealing his name. That young man continued staring at him. After that, he opened his mouth and slowly spoke, my name is Qin Tiangang. Chapter 1891. My name is Qin Tiangang. This voice rang out in the ears of everyone, causing the hearts of many to tremble involuntarily. Qin Tiangang of the Qin clan, Qin Zheng's elder, clan uncle. He was from the same generation as Qin Zheng's father, Qin Ding. In that era, Qin Tiangang was someone who could shake the heavens and earth. Now, he appeared before their eyes, meeting with them in a different spacetime. It seemed like Chu Mo sent them into a different spacetime, allowing them to walk through it. Only after they came to this spacetime and met Qin Tiangang did Chu Mo stop. It seemed like he had the intention to help Qin Wentian. Qin Tiangang was Qin Wentian's grandfather. Qin Wentian stared at the figure before him. His name was Qin Tiangang. He didn't expect that he would have a chance to meet his grandfather. At the end of the heaven vault, in the chaotic spacetime of the god's extinction path. Grandpa! Qin Wentian called out. A smile appeared on Qin Tiangang's face. He stepped out and walked towards Qin Wentian. Both his hands patted Qin Wentian's shoulders. I didn't expect us 3 generations to be here. Maybe, this is fate. Father has indeed come here before. Qin Wentian silently mused. Qin Tiangang surveyed Qin Wentian from a close distance as he continued, good, just like Yuanfeng back then. Luo Shenchuan stared at the figure before him, feeling very shocked in his heart. He didn't expect that he would actually be able to meet Qin Tiangang here. Most probably, Qin Zheng and his family didn't expect this, right? Chu Mo's goddess, Nikhang, was already engaged to Qin Wentian. However, Chu Mo was acquainted with Qin Tiangang and Qin Yuanfeng. He wanted Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian to spare Qin Wentian but they didn't agree. Clearly, Chu Mo didn't like Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian. His flute music brought everyone to another spacetime, to Qin Tiangang. At this moment, Qin Tiangang's entire body suddenly turned cold. He stared at Qin Wentian and asked, how is your father? Back then, my father was killed by the Qin clan, stripped of everything from his body. Even now, it is unknown whether he is still alive or dead. Qin Wentian replied. Qin Tiangang's aura grew even colder. He turned and stared at Qin Zheng and the other heavenly deities of the Qin clan. His gaze landed on a heavenly deity of the Qin clan. This heavenly deity was an elder. Back then when he was still in the Qin clan, he was already an elder of the Qin clan. His name was Qin Mo, Astral Dipper. I didn't think I would be able to meet you here. Qin Mo's heart was also filled with shock. The aura radiating from Qin Tiangang was as cold as ever. He glanced at everyone from the Qin clan as he coldly asked, Qin clan, did you kill my son? Astral Dipper, after you were trapped in the heaven vault, many things happened in the Qin clan. You don't understand. The Qin clan has always been seriously nurturing Yuanfeng, hoping that he would be able to inherit your legacy. However, Yuanfeng's personality was too rebellious. In fact, he even dared to act against an elder of the Qin clan. For the sake of a woman, he spared no expense and even betrayed the Qin clan, slaughtering his way into the Qin clan. If it wasn't for the fact that there was no other choice, the Qin clan wouldn't have acted against him. Qin Mo spoke. His way of addressing Qin Yuanfeng had already changed from traitor to Yuanfeng. Earlier in another spacetime, I heard everything you guys said. Qin Tiangang coldly spoke. Qin Mo, do you think that I, Qin Tiangang, am so easy to fool? How much have I, Qin Tiangang, sacrificed for the Qin clan? Yet, the Qin clan actually dared to kill my son. Who gave the order? Qin Tiangong's entire body radiated a violent aura. So what if he's killed? Traitors naturally have to be killed. What can your son do? Qin Dangtian coldly spoke. Even when facing Qin Tiangang, his tone was still filled with arrogance. How could a heavenly deity of their Qin clan lower his voice when facing someone who was rumored to have already died? Qin Ding's grandson. Qin Tiangang stared at Qin Dangtian. Do you know who you are talking to? Humph, Qin Dangtian coldly snorted. Qin Jing spoke, Uncle, even now, Father often talks about you. Back then when Uncle barged into the heaven vault, all the traces of life you left behind vanished. The entire Qin clan was very sad. So, after I died, the Qin clan dared to kill my son. Was it your father Qin Ding who gave the order? Qin Tiangang stared at Qin Jing. I'm also sad about Yuanfeng's matter. He and I were as close as brothers and grew up together. However, he betrayed the Qin clan and the Qin clan had no choice but to kill him. This was the will of the entire Qin clan, it wasn't an order from a single person. Qin Jing spoke. Qin Jing, can you be more shameless? Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Now, why are you acting so differently? Back then, you stripped away my father's bloodline, rune bones, and everything else from his body, using the cruelest methods to deal with my father. Is all this because you were as close as brothers or because you were forced to do so? Boom! An even more violent aura gushed forth from Qin Tiangang. He stared at Qin Wentian. The Qin clan once treated your father like this? Yes, in the memories my father left behind, I personally saw it. Qin Wentian nodded. Ha ha ha. Qin Tiangang laughed uproariously, causing time and space to tremble. What a good Qin clan. Is this how they treat my son? Qin Tiangang was enraged. The heavenly deities of the Qin clan exchanged mutual glances as they transmitted their voices. After that, they spread out, surrounding Qin Tiangang. They knew how powerful Qin Tiangang was back then. Now that they encountered each other in this spacetime, they had no idea how strong the Qin Tiangang before them was. Tiangang, could it be that you also want to act against the Qin clan? Qin Mo coldly spoke. Clan. Qin Tiangang continued laughing. Is this still my clan? I, Qin Tiangang, actually have such a despicable clan. Since uncle also wants to betray the clan today, as the clan leader of the Qin clan, nephew can only offend you. Qin Jing spoke. Let's act together. As the sound of his voice faded, all the heavenly deities of the Qin clan erupted forth with their own heavenly Tao energy. Divine punishment light flashed in this spacetime, instantly enveloping Qin Tiangang. Boundless divine formation light enveloped Qin Tiangang, wanting to destroy him within the divine punishment. Qin Ding, your son became the clan leader of the Qin clan. As for your son, he was killed by the Qin clan. Good, my good clan. Qin Tiangang laughed maniacally, causing the heavens and earth to crumble. The divine formation trembled unstably, as though it would collapse at any moment. Qin Jing released his astral souls as a screen of divine punishment appeared behind him, blotting out the sun. The divine formation shuddered violently, wanting to lock onto Qin Tiangang's body. Beams of divine punishment light descended from the sky, wanting to destroy everything. Qin Tiangang inclined his head. He opened his mouth and abruptly drew in a deep breath. In an instant, the beams of divine punishment light were swallowed into his mouth. The terrifying heavenly Tao energy of divine punishment was directly swallowed into the void, vanishing from sight. Qin clan. Very good. I, Qin Tiangang, have now become a traitor. The Qin clan leader wants to kill me as well. Qin Tiangang laughed loudly. But can you all kill me? As the sound of his voice faded, he stretched out his 5 fingers as a terrifying might erupted forth. His 5 fingers clenched into a fist, causing space to tremble. Break! Qin Tiangong's fist blasted out, slamming into the divine formation. In an instant, the entire space seemed to be on the verge of destruction, shattering into pieces. The radiance of the divine formation was completely shattered. Qin Tiangong's fist blasted out, akin to a world-destroying fist, traversing through space, aiming for Qin Zheng. At this moment, Qin Dangtian's figure appeared. A divine wall appeared around him. His defense was unparalleled, able to absorb the power of the 10,000 laws and counter-attack his opponent, creating a terrifying destructive might. Dang don't! Qin Dangtian's mother roared. Although Qin Dangtian's heavenly Tao was powerful, the person standing before him was none other than Qin Tiangang, the war god of the Qin clan. He has been missing for many years, but he was actually still alive in the god's extinction path. Only heaven knew how strong he was now. When Qin Ding and Qin Tiangang dominated the supreme ancient immortal realms, Shi and Qin Zheng were still young. At that time, Qin Tiangang and Qin Ding were already the legends of the Qin clan. Qin Tiangang, the war god of the Qin clan, could shatter the heavenly Tao with a single punch. However, it was already too late. Qin Tiangong's attack blasted out at the same time as her voice, directly smashing into the divine wall. The heavenly Tao crumbled as the divine wall shattered. That punch seemed to be able to penetrate through time itself. Qin Dangtian's body was directly flung through the air as he coughed out blood. His Tao was able to absorb the power of the Tao of others, but under that punch, it was directly shattered, causing him to be heavily injured. Dang! Qin Zheng's wife screamed in shock. Her body flickered as she sped towards Qin Dangtian. At the same time, the heavenly deities of the Qin clan unleashed their heavenly Tao attacks, blasting towards Qin Tiangang. For a moment, this entire space felt like it was about to be destroyed. All living beings were slaughtered. An even more powerful divine formation radiated light as boundless divine punishment descended from the skies. In the past, did you all bully my grandson like this as well? Qin Tiangong's battle intent towered up into the sky. He was like an ancient war god, allowing the attacks of countless Tao attacks to come at him. He stood there arrogantly, the light of divine punishment and destructive Tao attacks blasted over. The space-time around Qin Tiangang was in a state of chaos. When the boundless Tao attacks blasted into him, they were all swept away by the distortions in space-time. When the towering Tao attacks blasted into him, they were unable to move him at all. The divine punishment light was useless as well. The hearts of everyone who saw this scene trembled violently. How powerful! Was this the Qin clan's war god, Qin Tiangang, who once dominated the supreme ancient immortal realms? He alone could fight against all the heavenly deities of the Qin clan. Kill! Qin Tiangang roared. Dimensional light flashed, causing time and space to reverse. The boundless Tao attacks were reversed as the divine punishment light shot towards the Qin clan's heavenly deities. At the same time, he stretched out both his hands, traversing through spacetime, arriving at the side of the Qin clan's heavenly deities. A thunderous boom rang out, causing time and space to tremble as the void collapsed. Several heavenly deities of the Qin clan were directly injured, coughing out blood as their countenances turned pale. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they stared at the legendary character of the Qin clan. This was the war god of their Qin clan, but now, he actually acted against them. If he was still alive, how much of a joke would that be? Luotian Chuan sighed in his heart when he saw this scene. Even Qin Zheng couldn't withstand a single strike from Qin Tiangang. His divine punishment energy was directly devoured by Qin Tiangang. Although he was shocked by Qin Tiangong's strength, Luotian Chuan could also see the disparity between the Luotian clan and the Qin clan. Qin Ding was someone who was equally famous as Qin Tiangang. Right now, on the path of a heavenly deity, what step has he reached? Chapter 1892. From afar, many heavenly deities who were spectating felt shock in their hearts. The Qin clan of the Heaven region. If Qin Tiangang didn't enter the Heaven Vault back then, the current Qin clan would surely be at its peak. Just Qin Tiangang alone was sufficient to contend against all heavenly deities. In addition, there was still his wife and his son, Qin Yuanfeng. Luckily, such a situation occurred. If not, if the Qin clan was too strong, the balance of power in the Heaven region would be unbalanced. Qin Tiangang had no time to care about what everyone was thinking. He stepped out and coldly spoke, "Back then, which one of you participated in the killing of my son Yuanfeng?" Tiangang, Yuanfeng betrayed the Qin clan back then. Now, if you act so heavily against someone from the Qin clan, will you be able to face the ancestors of the Qin clan? Qin Mo shouted loudly. He was also injured by Qin Tiangang and felt great shock in his heart. Compared to the Qin Tiangang who disappeared back then, the Qin Mo they met in the spacetime of the god's extinction path was even more terrifying. Only when one reached the heavenly deity realm would they understand that this was a never-ending path. One could not imagine just how far one could reach in this realm. Was Qin Jing strong? As the current clan leader of the Qin clan, he was naturally very powerful. Even among the heavenly deities of the supreme ancient immortal realms, he was at the peak. Leaving aside Qin Jing, was Heaven's son Qin Dangtian strong? Of course he was. With his age and talent, he was definitely outstanding, rarely seen since ancient times, an unparalleled figure. Not long after he entered the heavenly deity realm, he crippled the Skyorder heavenly deity. But so what of it? Qin Zheng and the others were all powerful, but before Qin Tiangang, they couldn't even withstand a single strike. None of them could block him. This was the absolute disparity. From this, one could see how terrifying Qin Tiangang was now. It was unknown how strong he was compared to ancient god kings. The Qin clan treated Yuanfeng in such a manner, yet you still have the face to mention your ancestor to me? The Qin clan, are you worthy of me, Qin Tiangang? Qin Tiangang felt even more enraged when he heard the words of the other party. He stepped out with large strides, rushing towards a heavenly deity of the Qin clan. Traitor. That heavenly deity's expression was ice-cold. Ha ha ha, I, Qin Tiangang, have actually become a traitor. Qin Tiangang laughed maniacally, causing time and space to tremble. Qin Mo silently mused. After that, he heard Qin Tiangang coldly speaking, "You killed my son and acted against my grandson. Since the Qin clan is heartless, I won't be righteous today." Qin Tiangang roared. That heavenly deity who spoke only felt the space around him trembling. After that, Qin Tiangang clenched his fist and punched out. This punch seemed to be able to penetrate through time and space, penetrating through everything. With a rumbling sound, that heavenly deity lowered his head and stared at his body. His chest was actually penetrated by a single punch. After that, the space around him exploded. He screamed in terror as he died in despair. The heavenly god had fallen. The experts of the Qin clan were in disbelief when they saw this scene. All of them felt their bodies turning incomparably cold. Qin Tiangang. Qin Jing roared. He took out a treasure and after that, he sprayed a mouthful of blood on it. In an instant, a supreme divine weapon appeared before Qin Jing. That was a treasured armor that blotted out the sun. It instantly enlarged as ancient runes flashed, radiating a supremely powerful Tao energy that instantly enveloped Qin Tiangang's body. After that, countless ancient runes shot towards Qin Tiangang. At this moment, numerous ancient figures walked out from the treasured armor. Each of the ancient runes contained a type of Tao energy. Myriad Law Armor. Qin Tiangang was enveloped by the power of the 10,000 runes. He stared at the treasured armor as his eyes gleamed with coldness. This was a supreme treasure of the Qin clan. Right now, Qin Zheng was actually using it to deal with him. The myriad law armor radiated an apocalyptic might that blotted out the sky as it shot towards Qin Tiangang. Rumble. A shocking might erupted from Qin Tiangang. He was like a supreme god of war in this world. Boundless attacks rained down on him, causing the space currents around him to explode. The myriad law armor spun, the Tao light it shot out grew stronger and stronger. Qin Tiangang couldn't bear to act against the figures that walked out. These figures were formed from the wills of the Qin clan's ancestors. The myriad law armor was created by the joint efforts of the Qin clan's ancestors and was passed down from generation to generation. Each of the ancient runes on it was carved by the Tao of his ancestors. Kill! Qin Jing roared. The light from the myriad law armor grew even more terrifying, covering the entire sky. The heavenly deities who were spectating from afar all hurriedly retreated. This was a world-destroying light. Luotian Chuan walked towards Qin Wentian and spoke in a light voice, "Careful." Qin Tiangang took a step out, blocking Qin Wentian who was behind him. As for himself, he stood in the center of the storm as terrifying spatial tempests manifested around him. At this moment, countless figures of Qin Tiangang appeared in the sky. All of them lifted their fists at the same time, causing time and space to tremble. As the myriad law armor radiated light, Qin Tiangang let out a thunderous roar. The countless figures of Qin Tiangang blasted out spacetime annihilation punches at the same time, clashing against the treasured light. For a period of time, the sky collapsed, it felt like this entire space was about to be destroyed. Go! Qin Jing roared in a low voice. At the same time he attacked, the experts of the Qin clan retreated. When Qin Jing retreated into the distance, the myriad law armor transformed into a beam of light and followed after him. Seeing Qin Jing and the others leaving, Qin Tiangang didn't chase after them. If they could walk out of the god's extinction path alive, it could already be considered that they were very lucky. After retreating far away, the hearts of the various heavenly deities of the supreme ancient immortal realms were still trembling. This was the battle god of the Qin clan, Qin Tiangang. With his strength alone, he could fight against all the heavenly deities of the Qin clan, injuring them and killing one of them. Qin Jing took out the Qin clan's heaven-defying treasured armor and used the momentum to flee. If they really fought head-on, those heavenly deities of the Qin clan most probably would have all died here forever. Qin Tiangang's strength has already reached another level. Turning around, Qin Tiangang walked towards Qin Wentian. Luotian Chuan tactfully left, leaving some time for the grandfather and grandson pair. Qin Tiangang stared at Qin Wentian like he wanted to see his fill. He didn't expect that his grandson would already be so old and had already comprehended the Tao, arriving at the end of the heaven vault. After that, Qin Tiangang glanced at the people in the distance. "You guys leave this place first. I have something to say to my grandson." The eyes of everyone flashed as they departed respectively. "Wentian, I didn't expect that Yuan Feng's son has already grown up." "Good, this is truly very good." Qin Tiangang felt a myriad of emotions in his heart. After that, his gaze turned sharp as he stared at Qin Wentian. "Is your father dead or alive now?" "Back then, everything my father had was stripped away by the Qin clan. But from what I know, he recultivated and only had me in his second life." Qin Wentian spoke. After that, he told Qin Tiangang everything he knew. After Qin Tiangang learned of this, he clenched his fists tightly as an uncontrollable rage gushed forth from him. He was like a terrifying primordial beast, causing fear to appear in the hearts of people. Qin clan. What a Qin clan. Qin Tiangang inclined his head and coldly spoke. "Wentian, I'm afraid you will have to take revenge for this debt." "Grandfather, now you." Qin Wentian stared at Qin Tiangang. "I'm no longer with you. The me you see is merely the me from a certain spacetime in the past." Qin Tiangang smiled at Qin Wentian, as though he didn't mind at all. "How can that be?" Since I can see you, grandfather, it means that you are still alive in a certain spacetime. Since this is the case, there will definitely be a way. Qin Wentian learned the answer. It was actually what he didn't wish for the most. His grandfather Qin Tiangang was truly the same as Chu Mo, he had already died. This place was merely a spacetime in the past. Chu Mo intentionally sent them here, allowing them to meet each other. No matter how strong one's cultivation base is, it's impossible for one to revive from the dead. This god's extinction path is filled with chaotic spacetime. It's already very good that I can still exist in a certain spacetime. Also, I'm already very satisfied with being able to see you. Qin Tiangang didn't seem to mind at all. He had already fallen for so many years, but he still existed in the spacetime of the past. If the spacetime in this god's extinction path is reversed and we return to the past, wouldn't grandfather be able to survive? Qin Wentian spoke. When he participated in the convention of the myriad realms, he had once returned to the past in the time realm. The Time King was pursuing the supreme Tao of time, allowing him to transcend the past and the future. That is still the spacetime of the past. What's the difference between that and the current me? Qin Tiangang smiled. Qin Wentian started. After that, he continued, in that case, if we can return to the spacetime where grandfather died and save grandfather, would it mean that we can change what happened in that spacetime and grandfather would be able to survive? Qin Wentian felt some reluctance. He met with his grandfather, the supreme expert Qin Tiangang, only to learn that his grandfather had already died. Silly child. Qin Tiangang patted Qin Wentian on his shoulder. Let's not talk about grandfather anymore. Let's talk about you. Why did you come to the heaven vault? Is it because you know that I died here? Qin Wentian nodded. After I learned that the heaven vault has opened, I recalled that grandfather came here before. Hence, I came here to roam the world and disguised my identity. However, I didn't expect that when I was breaking through, I would be seen through by the Qin clan. They chased me all the way here and I didn't expect that Senior Chu Mo would send me here to meet grandfather. That little brat Chu Mo is too considerate. Qin Tiangang laughed. Grandfather, what sort of place is this exactly? I saw many heavenly deities trapped here. Are they from a certain spacetime in the past? How did grandfather die? Qin Wentian asked. This god's extinction path was filled with locations. Maybe, grandfather might know some of them. God's extinction path. Back then, grandfather was greedy and that's why I ended up dying here. Qin Tiangang sighed. Wentian, did your father pass that thing to you? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He stared at Qin Tiangang and seemed to have thought of something. Grandfather, are you referring to the tiny astral being? Qin Tiangang started. After that, he nodded, it's indeed in the form of a tiny astral being. In that case, it is already in your soul. Father passed it to me. After I entered the heaven vault, it had a reaction. Could it be that grandfather passed it to father? Qin Wentian was filled with curiosity. Yes. Chapter 1893. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. His grandfather was the first person to obtain the tiny astral being. In that case, he might know the secret of the tiny astral being. Grandfather, what is that thing exactly? Qin Wentian asked. The tiny astral being was extremely mysterious, but he had never truly unraveled its secrets before. Let me talk to you about the heaven vault first. Qin Tiangang spoke. Back then, when I conquered the heaven region, I followed the Qin clan and stood at the peak of the heaven region. My cultivation base was also strong enough and hence, I wanted to unravel the secrets of the supreme ancient immortal realms. I roamed many places and searched for records regarding the various secret realms of the supreme ancient immortal realms. I even managed to find some of the secret realms that were extremely hidden, and by chance, I learned that the Heaven Vault has a connection with a legendary existence of the ancient era. Hence, I decided to come to the Heaven Vault. Who is it? Qin Wentian asked. Being able to attract his grandfather here, that person must definitely be an extremely extraordinary existence. When the 8 regions were divided, the first overlord of the Heaven region was none other than God King Shi. Qin Tiangang slowly spoke. I once investigated and found out that God King Shi's hometown is none other than Boundless City in the Heaven region. It's located at the shore of the Boundless Sea. Grandfather, you suspect that the Heaven Vault has a connection with God King Shi? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. The first overlord of the Heaven region, God King Shi. How powerful of an existence was he exactly? When the supreme ancient immortal realms were divided into 8 regions, there was a god in each of the 8 regions who led the deities of the 8 regions and were conferred the title of God King. Where were they now? I've always been thinking about where did those supreme existences of the ancient era go to? Most probably, they are all pursuing a supreme cultivation realm. I discovered that the Heaven Vault might have a connection with God King Shi, and hence, I came here to explore the secrets of the Heaven Vault. I roamed the Heaven Vault, and as I ventured deeper, as well as many things that happened after that, I suddenly thought of something unbelievable. After you entered the Heaven Vault, did you pass through the 10 heavenly stone pillars? Qin Wentian nodded. When you entered the Heaven Vault, did you experience the Blood Sea Bone Boat before? Qin Tiangang asked again. Qin Wentian nodded again. Blood transforming into a sea, bones transforming into a boat. All sorts of evil thoughts, they are all evil thoughts in the heart. Have you ever imagined that the blood sea was truly formed from the blood of an expert? That bone boat was truly formed from the bones of an expert. Those distracting thoughts that caused people to feel fear and despair were all the distracting thoughts in the heart of that expert. All of these aren't lies, they are all real. Qin Tiangang spoke. Qin Wentian's heart trembled as he stared at Qin Tiangang in shock. Grandfather is saying that this Heaven Vault is the blood and bones of a supreme expert. This entire Heaven Vault is actually the inner world of a supreme expert. Qin Wentian felt that this was somewhat unbelievable. This conjecture was a little too audacious. Initially, I also didn't dare to think about it. In the end, I came to this God's extinction path. This God's extinction path contains many terrifying destructive Tao energies. Also, the space-time here seems to be chaotic, able to cause people to fall into a trap forever. It's like the countless memories in the mind of a person. Each memory is in a different space-time, containing different Tao energies. After I obtained the tiny astral being you spoke of, I was even more certain of my conjecture in my heart. That tiny astral being seemed to be formed from the soul of a supreme expert, controlling everything. Sadly, because I wanted to obtain it, I only had a single breath left. Relying on a strand of unwillingness, I forcefully separated it from my body. However, I didn't have the chance to exit the God's extinction path. I was unwilling to die just like that until your father arrived. Qin Wentian's heart trembled violently when he heard his grandfather's words. The tiny astral being was formed from the soul of a supreme expert. If that was truly a soul, given my strength, wouldn't I be easily corroded by it? Qin Wentian asked. You are thinking too much. That person used his divine sense to envelop the 9 heavenly layers. I'm guessing that he has already achieved transcendence and is very close to that step where no one in the supreme ancient immortal realms could reach. His ambitions are extremely great, wanting to take over the 9 heavenly layers for himself, transforming them into the power of his soul. He didn't want to limit himself to just condensing a connection with the 9 constellations. He wants to reach a supreme peak, becoming an existence that transcends the 9 heavenly layers. In addition, he has already accomplished it. However, I suspect that he was only one step away, but he still failed in the end. This is why he transformed himself into the Heaven Vault, waiting for his descendants to come and complete his long-cherished wish. Qin Tiangang slowly spoke. Qin Wenqian's heart pounded violently. He thought of the countless astral fragments in the tiny astral being. They were able to seal memories, and the tiny astral being was like a universe, able to contain millions and millions of constellations. This was extremely similar to his grandfather's conjecture. Using his divine sense to envelop the 9 heavenly layers, he was unwilling to be below the 9 heavenly layers. He wanted to transcend, becoming an existence that surpassed the 9 heavenly layers. Such ambition, such strength, how could the hearts of people not tremble? Grandfather suspects that this person is none other than the first-generation overlord of the heaven region, God King Shi? Qin Wentian asked. Qin Tiangang nodded. When I obtained the tiny astral being, I explored it. Your father must have done so as well. Right now, I also have no idea what would happen if the tiny astral being was in your body. But since fate arranged for it to leave its mark on the bodies of our 3 generations, I believe that you, Wentian, would be able to unravel its ultimate secret. Let's hope so. Qin Wentian nodded. Is this place where gods died very dangerous? There are many unknown danger zones. I'm guessing that this is the energy left behind in God King Shi's boundless sea of consciousness. There wouldn't be any problems for 1 or 2 days, but what about 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years? You would eventually encounter danger. This is also the reason why many people who entered here all died. Because they couldn't exit and were trapped here for countless years, they would eventually encounter death. However, you have the core of everything, you would definitely be able to exit this place. Back then, your father also exited this place. Qin Tiangang spoke. Qin Wentian nodded. It was indeed like what his grandfather said. After they entered, they didn't encounter any danger at all. There might only be a few dangerous places, but after being trapped here for countless years, there would definitely be a day where they would encounter danger unless they could exit this place. The tiny astral being has been acting strangely. I haven't tried to sense it yet. Qin Wentian spoke. Grandpa believes that you will be able to do it. Find your father if he is still alive. Qin Dangtian patted Qin Wentian on his shoulder. After that, space-time intent flowed as Qin Tiangang's figure gradually turned illusory. His incomparably tyrannical figure now had a warm smile on his face as he stared at his grandson. His figure grew more and more blurry. Grandpa. Qin Wentian felt pain in his heart when he saw this scene as he called out. Grandpa is already very happy to be able to meet you here in space-time. Child, in the future, you have to walk your own path. Qin Tiangang laughed. His figure gradually dissipated, transforming into nothingness like he had never appeared before. It was hard to imagine that not long ago, he was here, fighting against the heavenly deities of the Qin clan. Qin Wentian stood there in a daze. Behind him, a figure walked to Qin Wentian's side. This figure was none other than Luotian Chuan. He also stared at Qin Tiangang's vanishing figure as he felt many emotions in his heart. Before this, he had heard everything. Qin Wentian naturally didn't need to hide anything from his grandfather. Your grandfather, what a pity. He was an overlord of an era, he could originally dominate the supreme ancient immortal realms. Luotian Chuan sighed. Grandfather, you have heard everything earlier. I will sense the tiny astral being now and see if we can leave this place as soon as possible. Qin Wentian spoke. Luotian Chuan nodded. After that, Qin Wentian sat down cross-legged and sent his will into the tiny astral being. After he entered the god's extinction path, the tiny astral being had been reacting. However, he had been fleeing for his life and didn't have the time to sense it. Now, he could finally sense the changes. When Qin Wentian sent his will into the tiny astral being, he discovered that an extremely complicated world appeared in the tiny astral being. It was like a maze, with tens of thousands of connections and endless corridors intersecting with each other. Didn't this world perfectly match the scene in the god's extinction path? Back then, his grandfather must have sensed it as well. This was why he had such a bold guess. Sadly, back then when his grandfather obtained the tiny astral being, he was already on the verge of death. If not, he would have been able to leave this place. Grandfather, it shouldn't be a problem to leave this place after spending some time. If I can control it completely, I'm afraid it wouldn't be as simple as leaving this place. Qin Wentian opened his eyes and spoke. Luotian Chuan's eyes flashed, he didn't expect the truth to be like this. In that case, those heavenly deities who came here to explore the gods' extinction path most probably only left them with danger. To them, the secret basically didn't exist. It only existed for Qin Wentian. Several years later, in the gods' extinction path, Qin Zheng and his group were still inside. Their expressions were extremely unsightly to behold. What damnable place is this? A heavenly deity cursed in a low voice. In here, there were basically no secrets at all. There was only danger. There was no need to even think about good fortune. Also, they, Qin Wentian, were able to capture them and even narrowly escaped death. What is that? At this moment, their gazes turned ahead only to see a destructive current gushing towards them. Qin Zheng's expression changed, he turned and spoke, "Let's go." After speaking, the group of them didn't hesitate and turned to flee. As for the other heavenly deities who entered the gods' extinction path, they all had similar encounters. Although the majority of the time was very safe, they were like drifting aimlessly, with no end in sight. Occasionally, they would even encounter danger. As for the good fortune and secrets they imagined, there was nothing at all. What made them feel even more terrified was that even their messaging crystals were ineffective here. They had no way to contact the outside world. It was like they were in a different spacetime. How could they contact each other? Today, at the end of the ancient path, above the 9 heavenly layers, there were some powerful existences cultivating. Those who entered seemed to have disappeared. Many people were worried, especially for the experts from the various major powers. If something happened to those people, an earthquake would surely occur in the supreme ancient immortal realms. At this moment, in the desolate land of darkness, 2 figures walked out. The 2 of them were extremely fatigued and their robes were tattered. But even so, they walked out of the darkness and returned to the ancient heaven vault path. Finally, we are out. Qin Wentian stared at the ancient path, he only felt that he had passed through several centuries. The process of them exiting was too difficult to endure. That place was simply too vast, it was boundlessly vast. As for the other people who entered, it was unknown where they went. Even if Qin Wentian wanted to find them, it would be hard for him to do so. He could only bring his grandfather out of there. Chapter 1894. The 9 heavenly layers were still as resplendent as ever, towering above the 9 heavenly layers. Emichem. At this moment, some experts froze when they saw Qin Wentian and Luotian Chuan. They actually managed to exit the gods' extinction path. What did they experience in the gods' extinction path? What about the other experts who entered? Why didn't they see them? Back then, after Qin Wentian and his group entered the gods' extinction path, there were some other heavenly deities who entered as well. But now, no one knew where they went. It was said that there were people in the outside world who tried to contact them but there was no reply. Nobody knew what they experienced in the gods' extinction path. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't explain anything to everyone. He took out his messaging crystal and informed his family that he was safe. After that, he flew towards the 9 heavenly layers. He still wanted to probe the secrets of the tiny astral being. The 9 heavenly layers should be the most suitable place for him to do so. "Grandfather, I'm going to cultivate." Qin Wentian spoke. Ever since he comprehended the Tao, he was hunted down by Qin Zheng, Qin Dangtian and the others. After that, he entered the gods' extinction path and experienced many years in there. He didn't have time to calm his heart and cultivate. Right now, he needed to stabilize his cultivation base. The secrets of the tiny astral being were also waiting for him to probe. As for the Qin clan, Qin Zheng, Qin Dangtian and the others should be trapped in the god's extinction path now. It was unknown if they would be able to exit or not. But even if they couldn't, the Qin clan was still around. Back then, the one who gave the order to deal with his father was clearly someone with a higher status compared to Qin Zheng. For example, his father, Qin Ding. Go on. Luotian Chuan knew Qin Wentian's thirst for cultivation now. He nodded his head. The experience this time around caused him to feel some emotions in his heart. Qin Tiangong's strength, as well as the secrets of the heaven vault, he also hoped that he could grow stronger. After all, he also had a mission on his shoulders. The Luotian clan. Although the Luotian clan was now divided, he still hoped that the Luotian clan would be able to regain its former glory and stand at the peak of the desolate region. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he left, heading towards the boundless starry space. In the 9 heavenly layers, he didn't head to any of the constellations. Instead, he came to the center of the boundless starry space. He sat cross-legged in the air and closed his eyes, sensing the boundless astral light, channeling the astral light into the tiny astral being in his sea of consciousness. It has been a very long time since he did this. He didn't probe the secrets of the tiny astral being. Back then when his father passed the tiny astral being to him, his mother was extremely moved. She didn't know if his father had unraveled the secrets of the tiny astral being back then. As astral energy was channeled unceasingly into the tiny astral being, the vast starry space within also seemed to glow a little brighter. However, the tiny astral being seemed to contain boundless starry space and countless constellations. When astral energy was channeled into it, Qin Wentian discovered that the tiny astral being was only slowly lighting up. In the past, he used astral energy to light up the tiny astral being because he wanted to search for the memories left behind by his father. But now, he wanted to probe the secrets of the tiny astral being. The tiny astral being was like a bottomless pit. It greedily absorbed the astral energy endlessly, yet it had no way to fill it up. However, Qin Wentian didn't give up so easily. He continued to draw astral energy into the tiny astral being. He didn't believe that there wouldn't be any reaction from the tiny astral being. Time flowed by day after day. Although it was as dull as before, at the very least, it could be considered as cultivation. Qin Wentian couldn't sense the flow of time as he repeated the process year after year. However, no matter how much effort he put in, it was useless. He felt somewhat powerless and even had thoughts of giving up. If it was in the past, he definitely wouldn't be able to persist for so many years. But now, he was much more patient compared to the past. He had already arrived at a different realm, the highest realm of cultivation. If you continue like this, it would only be futile. At this moment, a voice rang out in Qin Wentian's mind, causing Qin Wentian's body to violently tremble. His eyes abruptly opened as a resplendent light shot out. However, there was no one in his surroundings. Who is it? Qin Wentian spoke. You have always been trying to sense my secrets, yet you don't even know that I'm talking to you. That voice rang out once more. Qin Wentian's heart pounded violently. He could sense that the tiny astral being was currently radiating a faint glow. How can this be? Qin Wentian discovered that the tiny astral being could actually speak. Could it be like what his grandfather had guessed? This tiny astral being was actually formed from the soul of an extremely powerful character. That extremely powerful character might very well be the founder of the heaven region, God King Shi. Is this really formed from Senior's soul? Qin Wentian asked. What are you talking about? The other party counter-asked, as though he didn't know what Qin Wentian meant. This caused Qin Wentian to furrow his brows. Could it be that the other party didn't hear the conversation between him and his grandfather? Senior didn't exist all along? Qin Wentian asked. Of course not. I merely sealed a strand of my remnant will in here. Now that it has been awakened by you, it appeared. The other party replied. Qin Wenqian's eyes flashed. Seems like his hard work through these years was useful. He actually managed to awaken the remnant will the other party left behind. Senior, you are? Qin Wenqian asked. Who I am isn't important. I'll tell you some things now. Listen carefully. The voice of the other party contained an unquestionable tone. However, Qin Wenqian didn't mind it. If his grandfather's guess was correct, this existence who left behind the remnant will might very well be the founder of the Heaven region, the God King of the Heaven region. I was born in the immortal realms and cultivated like all other living beings. At the end, I reached the peak of this world and became one of the strongest existences. However, I discovered to my sorrow that I'm still a lowly existence living under the shadow of the 9 heavenly layers. Stellar martial cultivators cultivate by borrowing the astral energy from the 9 heavenly layers. However, where did these astral energy originate from? Was there a supreme expert who created this astral river, enveloping the 9 heavenly layers and becoming the source of our cultivation? The other party slowly spoke, as though he was seeking knowledge. When one's cultivation reached the pinnacle, they would want to explore some ultimate secrets. Clearly, this existence was like this. After he grew strong enough, he finally started to explore the 9 heavenly layers. In fact, he even suspected if there was a supreme expert who created this world, creating the 9 heavenly layers. Everyone in the world says that humans can triumph over the heavens. My will is the heavens, representing the heavenly Tao. Although it seems that I can be arrogant, so what? Why is the heavenly Tao still shrouded by the 9 heavenly layers? Since humans can triumph over the heavens, why can't we transcend the 9 heavenly layers? Why must we be limited to the cultivation conditions created by the 9 heavenly layers? I'm unwilling to accept this. I want to explore the ultimate secrets of cultivation. I came to the 9 heavenly layers and even wanted to leave this world. In the boundless universe, are there still other worlds? The 33 immortal realms, the millions and millions of particle worlds, the 9 heavenly layers, all of them formed this world. But the starry space is boundless, the universe is boundless. Is the world we live in as insignificant as a particle world? I'm unwilling to accept this. I want to transcend this world. I want the 9 heavenly layers to no longer be shrouded by the 9 heavenly layers and become a part of my cultivation. The pinnacle of the Tao should be above the 9 heavenly layers. That voice continued, his tone filled with incomparable arrogance. He has already proven his Tao, but he was still unwilling to accept this. He wanted to transcend, he wanted to walk to the peak, wanting to become the ruler of the 9 heavenly layers. When one reached their cultivation realm, they would naturally have different pursuits. He once met the God King of Time in the past. Wasn't he also searching and pursuing? He hoped that one day, he would be able to freely traverse the past and the future, becoming the controller of time and space. This was the pursuit of those who stood at the peak. Power to them might no longer have much temptation. For example, the mysterious white-robed young man Qin Wenqian met in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. If he wanted to establish a power in the supreme ancient immortal realms, he could easily make it stand at the peak because his personal strength was sufficient to topple everything. Ultimately, I'm still a little bit lacking, just a little bit more and I would be able to accomplish it. However, I have no way to cross over. I hope that there will be someone who can cross over and let me see what the scenery is like in that domain. Let me see what the true 9 heavenly layers are like. Hence, I used my own body to transform into the heaven vault. Qin Wenqian's heart trembled when he heard this voice. Was it really like what his grandfather guessed? The heaven vault was actually transformed from a supreme existence. He used his own body to transform into the heaven vault, connecting to the 9 heavenly layers. What heaven-defying method was this? What you have now is formed from my soul. It encompasses the 9 heavenly layers. If you want to obtain its secrets, just relying on this alone is far from enough. Unless there comes a day when you can absorb the energy from all the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. At that time, I shall be your final astral soul. That voice was ethereal and dragged on for a long time before it gradually dissipated, like it had completely vanished. That was only a strand of remnant will that was sealed within the tiny astral being. Although that voice disappeared, Qin Wentian's heart was unable to calm down. His heart pounded unceasingly. One day when he can absorb the energy from all the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers, I shall be your final astral soul. This tiny astral being would eventually transform into an astral soul, his ultimate astral soul. But the prerequisite was that he had to be able to absorb the energy from all the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. This by itself was already an extremely difficult problem, it was basically impossible to accomplish. But the goal of that mysterious expert was to surpass the 9 heavenly layers. If it wasn't difficult, how could he surpass the 9 heavenly layers? Surpassing the 9 heavenly layers, truly transcending. Qin Wentian didn't know if such an existence existed in this world. In that case, that mysterious white-robed young man was able to shatter a constellation with a single finger. Could he have transcended and belonged to such an existence? Other than him, the God King of Time whom he met before most probably didn't manage to accomplish this. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and sank into contemplation. The shock in his heart was unable to calm down even after a long time. Wanting to absorb the energy from all the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. How could this be done? Chapter 1895. When stellar martial cultivators cultivated, they needed to form an innate connection with their constellations and condense their astral souls. After that, they would be able to absorb the astral energy from the constellations in the heavenly layers. It was basically impossible to do so. If all the constellations in the heavenly layers became their constellations, wouldn't that mean that they had to condense countless astral souls? How could this be possible? However, that person could be the legendary deity King Shi. He wanted to transcend the 9 heavens and the Ling clan was above the 9 heavens. Naturally, he wanted to walk a path that no one had ever walked before. Otherwise, why would the Ling clan be above the 9 heavens? Grandfather. Qin Wentian took out his messaging crystal and contacted his grandfather, Luotian Chuan. Wentian, what's wrong? Luotian Chuan's voice rang out. In the history of the supreme ancient immortal realms, was there anyone who could absorb astral energy from the constellations? Qin Wentian asked. Luotian Chuan hesitated for a moment. Qin Wentian's question was out of his expectations. I've never heard of anyone accomplishing this before. Naturally, there might be powerful existences that I'm not aware of who have done it before. Luotian Chuan replied. Naturally, maybe in the future, my grandson would be able to do it. Haha. Obviously, he knew the purpose of Qin Wentian's question. Qin Wentian must want to take a heaven-defying path. But I don't know where to start. Do you have any suggestions, Grandpa? Qin Wentian asked again. Grandpa had been in the divine realm for many years, so he didn't know if he could give him some advice. You've stumped me. Do you know that the cultivation of demonic beasts is different from humans? They can directly absorb astral energy from constellations of the same attribute. For example, that heaven-devouring beast companion of yours, as long as it's a constellation with devouring energy, it would be able to sense it. This is the innate talent of demonic beasts. Humans, on the other hand, have to depend on their astral souls for their cultivation. If they want to form an innate connection with the constellations in the sky, they would need to have an incomparably strong perception of astral energy. Luotian Chuan slowly spoke. However, from what I know, it's extremely rare for a power in the supreme ancient immortal realms to be able to surpass the limits of astral souls and absorb astral energy from constellations. However, there's one power that has a deep connection with you. That power is none other than the Qin clan. Qin clan. Qin Wenqian's eyes flashed. From what I know, the ultimate profoundness of the Qin clan's bloodline is able to fuse the Daos of a myriad of laws. The experts of the Qin clan are known to be able to cultivate a myriad of laws. Most probably, their perception of constellations should be extraordinary. Luotian Chuan spoke. Qin Wenqian's eyes flashed. The power of his bloodline had always been with Di Tian. Di Tian's original body had lost his bloodline because of the calamity back then. The bloodline of my Luotian clan is also outstanding. If you awaken your divine rearing talent, you would be able to sense the constellations of countless demonic beasts and summon a myriad of demonic beasts. If your two bloodlines can fuse together, you might have a chance. Luotian Chuan slowly spoke. Qin Wenqian's heart trembled. He had inherited both the bloodlines of the Qin clan and the Luotian clan. Also, it seemed that he was the only one in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Grandpa, let me try. Qin Wenqian transmitted his voice. Luotian Chuan nodded and didn't say anything else. Qin Wenqian has already reached this step. From now on, Luotian Chuan wouldn't be able to provide any help to Qin Wenqian. Everything would have to depend on Qin Wenqian himself. Today, in the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, Qin Wenqian's other body, Di Tian, who had been in a state of cultivation, set off. His destination was the Heaven Vault's secret realm of Boundless City in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. Many days later, Di Tian's other body arrived at the Heaven Vault, in the 9 heavenly layers. He came together with Qin Wenqian. In the past, he used the great Nirvana immortal art to create an avatar. His two bodies each comprehended different Daos and walked on different paths. But this time around, the two of them came together to cultivate. They sat side by side, comprehending the energy of the constellations in the sky. Both of them were comprehending the Tao at the same time. In the blink of an eye, several years passed. However, even though both of them were comprehending the Tao at the same time, Qin Wenqian still had no way to accomplish this. In the starry space, he could at most sense energy of the same attribute as his astral soul and absorb it. For example, he had a sword attribute astral soul and could absorb the astral energy of many sword attribute constellations. But if he didn't have this attribute, he wouldn't be able to do this. He thought back to when he was in the world of reincarnation. Only in that world would he be able to sense the energy of all attributes. Sadly, he didn't have the chance to do so back then. I want to make another trip to the Tiandao Sacred Academy, to the world of reincarnation. Qin Wenqian silently mused. After that, he departed and prepared to head to the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He hoped that the elders of the Tiandao Sacred Academy would allow him to enter the world of reincarnation again. Di Tian's body stayed behind, but he didn't continue to sit in the starry space to comprehend. Instead, he headed to a different constellation. He was preparing to walk around the constellations and sense the different attributes of the constellations. Qin Wenqian knew how difficult it would be this time around. But he had to do his best. Qin Wenqian returned to the ancient Heaven Vault pathway and continued on his way back. There were many cultivators here. The Heaven Vault has long since caused a huge commotion in the supreme ancient immortal realms. It was unknown how many powerful world overlords and experts from the 8 regions came here. And this was only within the Heaven Vault. It was unknown how many experts in the outside world had no way to enter the Heaven Vault. On the way back, he saw a beautiful figure. Her robes fluttered in the wind as she stood on the ancient path, staring at the starry space. This scene was extremely beautiful. This figure was none other than the number 1 beauty of the heaven region, Goddess Nikhang. Qin Wenqian walked towards Goddess Nikhang. Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes turned over, they were as calm as water as she stared at him. There were no fluctuations in her beautiful eyes, like she didn't know Qin Wenqian at all. Qin Wenqian wanted to say something but he hesitated. He didn't know what to say. Goddess Nikhang once saved him before, but now, she was engaged to someone from his enemy, the Qin clan. He naturally didn't wish for them to stand on opposing sides one day. Between him and her husband, one of them had to die. Naturally, the prerequisite was that Qin Wentian had to come out alive. However, he felt that it was a little strange for him to pass on the message to his father. Given the hatred between him and the Qin clan, would Goddess Nikhang believe his words? I met your father in the god's extinction path. Qin Wentian finally spoke. Goddess Nichang's body trembled. Her beautiful eyes, which had never wavered before, finally flashed with a strange light. Her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian as she asked, "Is my father still alive?" Her voice was trembling slightly. Everything left behind by her father had vanished. This meant that he had truly died. However, Qin Wentian actually said that he met her father in the god's extinction path. Qin Wentian shook his head and continued, "The god's extinction path is a chaotic spacetime. The father I met was from a spacetime of the past." A spacetime of the past. Goddess Nichang's voice trembled. The glimmer of hope that just rose was instantly extinguished. She stared at Qin Wentian. "The father you met, how was he like?" "We met by chance in a spacetime. Your father, Senior Chu Mo, was playing the flute. He was very handsome and bore some resemblance to you. He seemed so carefree and carefree. At that time, I was being pursued by Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian. Your father helped me." Qin Wentian sighed. "Back then in the world of reincarnation, you helped me. Now, in the heaven vault, I even received Senior Chu Mo's help. Seems like I owe you more and more." "How did he help you?" Goddess Nikhang asked. It was like she wanted to know everything about her father, even if it was in a spacetime of the past. "He used the sound of his flute to send me to another spacetime, allowing me to meet with my grandfather, Qin Tiangang." Qin Wentian spoke. "After that, I never saw him again. I didn't even have a chance to thank him. I can only thank you. He didn't mention me." Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian, feeling somewhat nervous. Could it be that her father didn't think of her? He did. Qin Wentian nodded. Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes trembled as she asked, "What did he say?" "When I met your father, Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian were both present. Also, I told them about the engagement between you and Qin Dangtian. Your father knew that Qin Zheng wanted to deal with me and told them to stop. Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian didn't agree. Hence, your father used the sound of his flute to send us to another spacetime to meet with my grandfather. Before that, your father transmitted his voice to me, telling me to tell you and your grandfather that he doesn't agree to this marriage." Goddess Nikhang stared at Qin Wentian's eyes and fell silent for a moment. After that, she spoke in a light voice, only this sentence. Qin Wentian nodded. He could see that Goddess Nikhang didn't suspect anything. On the contrary, she seemed a little disappointed. It was like she wanted to know more about her father. "I understand. Thank you." Goddess Nikhang spoke softly to Qin Wentian. After that, she lifted her foot and continued on the ancient path. Her beautiful eyes were filled with determination. Qin Wentian started. After that, he seemed to have thought of something. He abruptly turned and called out, "What do you want to do?" "Go and find him." Goddess Nikhang didn't turn her head back. However, Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he instantly blocked her path. "Have you gone mad? Even heavenly deities have no way to exit the god's extinction path. I only managed to exit it because I had a stroke of good fortune. Qin Zheng, Qin Dangtian and the others might stay there forever. If you enter, you would simply be courting death. Also, you might not be able to meet your father. This has nothing to do with you." Goddess Nikhang coldly spoke. After that, she walked past Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was speechless. Did this have anything to do with him? In the world of reincarnation, you once protected me, not allowing me to turn into an evil devil. In fact, you even faced the danger of being killed by me. In that case, what happened today naturally has something to do with me. Qin Wenqian's back faced Goddess Nikhang as he slowly spoke. After that, his silhouette flashed as he actually pulled Goddess Nichang's arm, not allowing her to continue forward. He couldn't watch Goddess Nikhang throw her life away. Let go. Goddess Nichang's expression was like ice as she coldly stared at Qin Wenqian. I'll have to offend you. Qin Wenqian spoke. After that, a powerful wave of Tao might gushed forth, enveloping Goddess Nikhang. Qin Wenqian used his powerful spatial energy to bind her. After that, he directly brought her back, preparing to bring her out of the heaven vault. It was too dangerous for her to stay here. She might just be courting death. Impudent. Goddess Nikhang coldly stared at Qin Wenqian, who was just inches away from her. Qin Wenqian stared at her cold eyes. I'm indeed impudent. What can you do about it? As he spoke, he ignored her cold gaze and continued on his way back. On the way back, there were people who saw this scene and an uproar instantly broke out. Qin Wenqian actually abducted Goddess Nikhang. Was he taking revenge on Qin Dangtian of the Qin clan? Someone had a look of rage on his face as he coldly stared at Qin Wenqian. Goddess Nikhang, the #1 beauty of the heaven region, was actually abducted by Qin Wenqian. What does this bastard want to do? Was he trying to humiliate Goddess Nikhang? However, Qin Wenqian radiated heavenly might. Unless it was a heavenly deity, who would dare to obstruct him? Chapter 1896. Qin Wenqian brought Goddess Nikhang with him as he flew out of the heaven vault. Outside the heaven vault, at the point where the sea and sky connected, there were countless experts there. When they saw Qin Wenqian holding Goddess Nikhang captive, all of them were stunned. This was especially so when they saw Goddess Nikhang staring at Qin Wenqian with anger and coldness in her eyes, as though she had suffered great humiliation. After that, they felt even more indignant. Hence, some people directly rushed out, wanting to attack Qin Wenqian. However, they were all slapped away by Qin Wenqian with a wave of his hand. Qin Wenqian then brought Goddess Nikhang away and soared through the air. At the entrance of the heaven vault, at the point where the sea and sky connected, countless people glanced at each other in dismay. After that, countless voices of condemnation rang out. Bastard, who is he? That is Qin Wenqian, Qin Yuanfeng's son. Someone exposed. So it is the traitorous disciple of the Qin clan. Shameless to the extreme, he actually dared to humiliate the #1 beauty of our heaven region. Many people were enraged. It was like the one who was humiliated was their girlfriend. That was the #1 beauty of the heaven region, Goddess Nikhang. In the hearts of countless experts in the heaven region, she was holy and sacred, no one dared to profane her. This was especially so to the people of Boundless City. Only Heaven's Son was worthy of her. But even though the marriage between Goddess Nikhang and Qin Wenqian was spread out, many people still felt sad. But now, they saw Goddess Nikhang being abducted by a brazen lecher. From this, one could very well imagine how angry they were. Was he taking revenge on the Qin clan, taking revenge on Qin Wenqian? The fiancé of Heaven's Son Qin Wenqian, the #1 beauty of the heaven region, was abducted by someone. This news instantly circulated, causing a huge commotion in Boundless City. After that, this news spread to the heaven region. Qin Wenqian's reputation as a lecher circulated like wildfire. The people of Boundless City were filled with grief and anger. They heard from the people outside the heaven vault that Goddess Nichang's expression was filled with grief and indignation. This caused them to involuntarily imagine Goddess Nikhang falling into the hands of this brazen fellow. Most probably, she would be tainted by him. They simply didn't dare to believe it, and they didn't want to believe it either. This bastard was too despicable. Naturally, this was a story for the future. The pitiful Qin Wentian still didn't know that he had already shouldered such a bad name, and this name would soon circulate through the supreme ancient immortal realms. He would become a famous lecher, a madman, a shameless and despicable character. Qin Wentian brought goddess Nikhang to Boundless City and asked her, "Where is your residence? I will send you back." Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes were still staring at him with a cold expression, as though she was extremely angry. This was the first time she was treated so crudely by someone. Also, he even prevented her from searching for her father. Qin Wentian felt somewhat speechless when he saw the look in her eyes. However, it was fine if she hated him, he couldn't possibly watch as she courted death in the god's extinction path. Even those heavenly deities who could shake the heavens and earth died there. Goddess Nikhang was just a world overlord. No matter how high her talent was, there was no way for her to return. "It's fine if you hate me. You have saved me before, and Senior Chu Mo has also helped me before. If you really met Senior Chu Mo in the god's extinction path, he most probably would only hate me for allowing you to enter. It's fine if you don't tell me, I will ask him myself. You don't want me to bring you everywhere to ask for directions, right?" Qin Wentian ignored Goddess Nichang's cold gaze as he calmly spoke. "I'll walk by myself." Goddess Nikhang finally spoke, her tone was as cold as ever. "Fine. But if you don't listen to me, I will use force again." Qin Wentian didn't have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. Goddess Nikhang was completely speechless when she saw him. She had never met such a fellow before. If she hated him, he didn't want to see her die. How could she hate him? After Qin Wentian released her restraints, Goddess Nikhang flew towards a certain direction. Not long after, she arrived at the Chu clan, which was originally located in Boundless City. "Nikhang, you are back." Chu Shen was naturally happy to see his granddaughter returning home. His gaze landed on Qin Wentian, who was traveling with Nikhang, as a look of curiosity appeared on his face. His granddaughter was actually traveling together with an unfamiliar handsome young man and even brought him back home. Also, this young man seemed somewhat familiar to him. But what was even stranger was that his granddaughter Nikhang had an unsightly expression on her face. It was like she had suffered a great grievance. "Junior Qin Wentian pays my respects to Senior Chu Shen." Qin Wentian bowed, adopting the etiquette of a junior. "Qin Wentian." Chu Shen's eyes flashed as he stared at the young man before him. "Son of Yuan Feng." "That's Junior." Qin Wentian nodded. Chu Shen surveyed Qin Wentian as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. He was acquainted with Qin Tiangang and Qin Yuanfeng. Back then, Qin Yuanfeng would often come to visit him. He didn't expect that now, Qin Wentian would also come here. In that case, it could be said that he was acquainted with 3 generations of Qin Wentian's family. Not bad. Chu Shen nodded slightly. His demeanor was majestic and extraordinary. But when he glanced at his granddaughter, he saw that she still had a look of hatred on her face. He felt even more strange in his heart. According to Nikhang, she had once interacted with Qin Wentian in the world of reincarnation and had even helped him before. Now, the two of them returned home together. It was just that the atmosphere was a little strange. "Why are you not leaving yet?" Goddess Nikhang coldly stared at Qin Wentian, not giving him any face at all. Chu Shen blinked his eyes. He stared at Nikhang. "Nikhang, is this how you treat a guest?" Qin Wentian bitterly smiled. He stared at Nikhang. "No matter what, I have to say a few words to Senior Chu Shen before I leave. If not, what if you go there after I leave?" "What's going on exactly?" Chu Shen asked. Senior, Junior entered a forbidden ground in the Heaven Vault and was fortunate enough to meet Senior Chu Mo, Qin Wentian spoke. After that, he recounted everything that happened. After Chu Shen heard it, he fell silent as he stared into the distance. His son was actually still in a certain spacetime in the god's extinction path. No wonder Nick Hang wanted to go there. Even for him, such a thought also appeared in his heart. Wentian did the right thing. Chu Shen spoke. Nick Hang, you are too willful. If you encounter any mishaps in the god's extinction path, what do you want this old fellow to do? Grandpa. Nichang's beautiful eyes flashed. She could go against Qin Wentian, but since Chu Shen was lecturing her, she could only accept it. I will never allow you to be so impulsive. Do you understand? Chu Shen solemnly spoke. Goddess Nick Hang stared at the serious expression on her grandpa's face. She lowered her head, but she still nodded lightly and agreed. Only then did Chu Shen spare her. He turned his gaze to Qin Wentian. Wentian, luckily you stopped this, lass, or the consequences would be unimaginably dire. Lass? Qin Wentian stared at Goddess Nick Hang with a strange look on his face. The number one beauty of the heaven region was actually called a lass. Most probably, only Chu Shen, who was closest to her, would be able to do so. This is what Junior should do. Nick Hang and Senior Chu Mo are both my benefactors. How can I watch her enter the god's extinction path? Since I have already sent her home, Junior will bid my farewell first. Qin Wentian spoke. Why are you in such a hurry? Rest for a few days before you leave. I can also chat with you about the past of your father's generation. Chu Shen smiled. Goddess Nick Hang inclined her head and cast a cold glance at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian sweated. How would he dare to agree? He hurriedly replied, Junior still has things to do and won't stay any longer. If there's a chance, I will pay a visit to Senior again. Emicham, that's fine as well. Wentian, I'm old friends with your grandfather and father. There's no need for you to regard me as an outsider. If you don't mind, you can just call me Grandpa Chu. Could it be that you two juniors are acquainted with each other as well? In the future, feel free to visit me often. Chu Shen didn't try to persuade Qin Wentian to stay. Grandpa Chu, if there's a chance in the future, please visit me often. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. After that, he bade farewell, I'll leave first. Emicham, Chu Shen nodded. Qin Wentian departed, but after he walked for a short distance, he turned his head and spoke, Grandpa Chu, Senior Chu Mo told me to bring flowers. He doesn't agree to the marriage between Nick Hang and Qin Wentian. After speaking, he didn't stay any longer and directly departed, vanishing from sight. His final words caused Chu Shen to start. His son didn't agree to the marriage between Qin Wentian and Nick Hang. But it was no wonder. Given his son's personality, he would surely say this. Chu Shen saw that Nichang's eyes were still as cold as ever as she stared in the direction where Qin Wentian left. He smiled, you hate him so much. How did he stop you from bringing you back? Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes stiffened as a hint of panic flashed in them. Nothing much, I agreed to come back myself. Is that so? Chu Shen had a smile that was not a smile on his face. If she agreed herself, how would such a situation occur? Most probably, that brat would have forcefully acted against her. This brat was truly audacious, but his personality was truly carefree. No wonder back then when he asked his granddaughter Nick Hang whose personality she liked more, she would say that Qin Wentian gave off a sense of distance. But from Qin Wentian, he could see his true personality. He had the carefreeness of his father, Qin Yuanfeng. Emicham, Goddess Nick Hang nodded. She naturally wouldn't admit it. However, she didn't expect that not long after, the news circulated through Boundless City that the lecherous Qin Wentian had abducted Goddess Nick Hang. Several months later, Qin Wentian came to the Tiandao Sacred Academy and sought an audience with the heavenly deity of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, wanting to enter the legendary place. After the heavenly deity of the Tiandao Sacred Academy consulted the headmaster, he agreed and specially allowed Qin Wentian to enter the legendary place. Qin Wentian once again entered the world of reincarnation. But this time around, he was just an ordinary person. He had an ordinary identity and an ordinary life in the world of reincarnation. This was also what he wanted. He came to the world of reincarnation because he wanted to carefully sense the various laws of energy. This was the unique characteristic of this world, it wasn't restricted by astral souls. As long as one's comprehension ability was high enough, they would be able to sense any law energy. And when Qin Wentian entered the world of reincarnation for cultivation, his name as the lecherous deity had already circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. In addition, the news of him breaking through to the heavenly deity realm also circulated. The people of the world were shocked by his talent, but at the same time, they were filled with disdain for him. This should be the most shameless heavenly deity in the supreme ancient immortal realms. He just broke through to the heavenly deity realm and he actually abducted the number one beauty of the heaven region. The number one shameless heavenly deity in the supreme ancient immortal realms was none other than Qin Wentian. The pitiful Qin Wentian would never have imagined that his name would resound through the supreme ancient immortal realms in such a manner. After the Qin clan learned of this, many people were extremely unhappy and wanted to capture Qin Wentian. After all, Goddess Nikhang was already engaged to the heaven son of the Qin clan. This news had already caused the Qin clan's reputation to be tarnished. This was simply an insult to the Qin clan. However, all of this had nothing to do with Qin Wentian. He immersed himself in his own cultivation, forgetting everything, forgetting the flow of time. Chapter 1897. During these tens of years, the situation in the supreme ancient immortal realms changed. During these years, all the storms revolved around the heaven vault. Even now, there were still experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms gathered in the heaven region's boundless city. Also, many hegemonic characters from the supreme ancient immortal realms were still in the gods' extinction path, their whereabouts unknown. Some people said that they would encounter a miraculous encounter, some said that they might die in there. Naturally, all of this needed time to be verified. In the gods' extinction path, the experts of the Qin clan were currently fleeing for their lives. Before them, there was a terrifying spacetime storm. As long as they were drawn into it, even heavenly deities would be torn to shreds. Also, this spacetime storm was extremely chaotic, there was no pattern to it. They could only flee. During these tens of years, not only did they not encounter any miraculous encounters in the gods' extinction path, they also didn't manage to discover any secrets of the heaven vault. On the contrary, they encountered many dangers and not long ago, a heavenly deity died here. This was already the second heavenly deity that died in the gods' extinction path. The first was killed by Qin Tiangang. What made them even more terrified was that even now, they still couldn't find any exit. The gods' extinction path, they finally understood the meaning of the two words gods' extinction. They felt some regret for coming here. Clan leader, is there still no way to notify the people outside? A heavenly deity asked. Qin Jing nodded, his expression was extremely unsightly. Nothing will happen to us. Maybe, in here, we can cultivate and not blindly think of ways to survive. The space-time energy here is very easy to sense. Qin Dangtian's expression was solemn. He was the heaven's son. No matter how cruel the environment was, he would still be able to survive. Also, his will became even more resolute. Dang, you are right. You are the one chosen by the heavens. The gods' extinction path won't be able to take your life away, it will only allow you to grow stronger. Qin Zheng's wife faintly spoke. Although she was a woman, she was the mother of the Qin clan. Her will was definitely extraordinarily strong. It was just that at this moment, her peerless countenance was somewhat haggard and sallow. Maybe, if we can reach a certain cultivation realm, we would have a chance to truly unravel the secrets within. Qin Zheng mumbled. They continued to struggle in the gods' extinction path. Other than them, there were many other hegemonic characters here as well. For example, the Qiankuan sect leader, Nine Heavens Mystical Maiden and the others. The Mystic Region's Sword Monarch Jian Junlai and Hua Taishu had also entered. There was also Yu Changkong. Back then, he didn't manage to wait for Qin Wentian outside. After that, he received news that Qin Wentian appeared in the heaven vault. Hence, he chased after Qin Wentian, but Qin Wentian had already fled into the god's extinction path. Hence, Yu Changkong also entered the god's extinction path. Now, he was trapped in the god's extinction path. However, he didn't feel any fear at all. On the contrary, he was very excited. In the god's extinction path, he encountered some ancient heavenly deities. When he encountered strong ones, he would seek guidance from them. When he encountered weak ones, he would seize everything he could. As for the dangers, so what? Right now, his body didn't belong to him. It wouldn't be so easy for him to die. He would only grow stronger in the god's extinction path. Today, Qin Wentian finally exited the world of reincarnation in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. His body seemed to have undergone some changes. The space-time in the world of reincarnation was different from the outside world. Back then, they experienced a lifetime in the world of reincarnation, but only a very short period of time passed in the outside world. But this time around, tens of years passed in the outside world. Qin Wentian has already cultivated for several lifetimes in the world of reincarnation and comprehended many different law attributes. However, when he exited the world of reincarnation, everything seemed to have started anew, returning to the past. However, his memories and insights wouldn't vanish. Just like Yu Changkong, he had also comprehended a powerful evil technique in the outside world. In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, after Qin Wentian exited, he went to pay a visit to the other heavenly deities. The life-governed heavenly deity and goddess Dugu both sighed in their hearts when they saw Qin Wentian's aura. The new generation was replacing the old. This young man who entered the true legendary place in the world of reincarnation might very well be the most outstanding existence among this generation of students in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He was currently walking on a legendary path that belonged to him. Although right now, his reputation in the supreme ancient immortal realms wasn't very good. In a place with beautiful scenery in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, Goddess Dugu's beauty was incomparably beautiful, like a goddess. Before Qin Wentian bid his farewell, she suddenly asked, "Back then when you abducted Goddess Nikhang, what did you do?" Qin Wentian instantly had a face filled with black lines. He already knew of his current reputation in the supreme ancient immortal realms from the heavenly deities in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. When he saw the smile that was not a smile on Goddess Dugu's face, he immediately fled. Staring at his back, Goddess Dugu had a beautiful smile on her face. The smile of a goddess would cause all living things to be intoxicated. Sadly, only existences at the same level as her could see this smile. Qin Wentian didn't directly return to the heaven vault. He first made a trip to Azure Mystic to accompany his family for a period of time before he returned to the heaven vault again. Qin Wentian's appearance instantly caused a huge commotion. This number one shameless heavenly deity in the supreme ancient immortal realms actually still had the face to appear. Qin Wentian couldn't be bothered with the strange gazes of everyone. He directly entered the heaven vault and returned to the ancient heaven vault pathway. Coincidentally, he met Goddess Nikhang again. She promised Deity Chu that she wouldn't risk her life anymore, and Deity Chu allowed her to return to the heaven vault to cultivate. Who would have thought that she would meet this fellow again? What a coincidence. Qin Wentian felt somewhat awkward when he saw Goddess Nichang's cold gaze staring at him. His reputation in the supreme ancient immortal realms wasn't too good, but he implicated Goddess Nikhang as well. Right now, many people were speculating that he had done something to Goddess Nikhang. He naturally felt a little guilty when he met Goddess Nikhang again. Goddess Nikhang didn't say anything, she merely stared coldly at him, causing Qin Wentian to feel even more awkward. Given Goddess Nichang's personality, it was impossible for her to explain things and say that Qin Wentian didn't do anything to her back then, right? If she said that, what would the people in the outside world think? Don't mind the rumors in the outside world too much. If there's a chance, I will explain to the world. Qin Wentian trembled as he spoke. Goddess Nikhang still didn't say anything. It's fine if you aren't willing. I will go and cultivate. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he directly fled. This was truly awkward. After all, this matter was caused by him. Back then, his methods were indeed a little too extreme, causing a very bad impact on Goddess Nichang's reputation. From afar, there were people who saw the scene of the two of them meeting. They couldn't help but to confirm the speculations in their hearts. Looking at the cold gaze of Goddess Nikhang, as well as the guilty look on Qin Wentian's face, something must have happened. Qin Wentian was even worse than a beast. How could there be such a shameless heavenly deity in the world? He actually dared to act against the number one beauty of the heaven region. After Qin Wentian awkwardly left, he followed the ancient heaven vault pathway and arrived at the boundless starry space of the 9 heavenly layers, reuniting with Di Tian once again. During these tens of years, his original body stayed in the Tiandao Sacred Academy to comprehend insights while Di Tian roamed the various constellations, sensing the different types of astral energy. The two of them had many comprehensions, but Di Tian's original body still had no way to absorb the astral energy from the constellations. Qin Wentian and Di Tian's thoughts were one. The insights Qin Wentian had in the world of reincarnation, Di Tian also had the power of his bloodline, but he still couldn't do it. From this, one could see how difficult it was to take that final step. Right now, they could only attempt the final step. In the starry space, Qin Wentian and Di Tian stood side by side. Resplendent light shone from both of them. This time around, Di Tian no longer concealed his appearance and was completely the same as Qin Wentian. Di Tian was merely a pseudonym for his avatar. His innate character was still Qin Wentian. At this moment, they were completely the same. If others were here and didn't sense their auras, they would definitely not be able to tell them apart. Back then, the Nirvanic immortal art created an avatar, separating it from its original body. Now, it has merged back together. What sort of changes would there be? The two of them spoke at the same time. Back then when ancient Azure Mystic appeared, he entered many secret grounds and found the second volume of the Nirvanic immortal art in one of them. Qin Wentian was preparing to try merging back together with his avatar. He wanted to see what sort of changes would occur. Also, the terrifying part of the complete great Nirvanic immortal art was that merging back together with his avatar didn't mean that he would lose his avatar in the future. Rather, he could still split his avatar into two in the future, and if he met an opponent of equal strength, having an avatar would undoubtedly determine the victor of the battle. The two avatars that were completely identical gradually got closer to each other, shining with an illusory light. After that, the two avatars gradually merged back together. At this moment, a strange light radiated from Qin Wentian. It was like there was another illusory figure existing on top of him. Their bloodlines gradually fused as their souls merged together, becoming the complete Qin Wentian. However, this was all within his expectations. What Qin Wentian was most concerned about was what sort of changes would occur to his astral souls. The great Nirvanic immortal art was only a cultivation art. Only after he tried it would he know what would happen. Before this, even Qin Wentian wasn't sure. As their bodies merged back together, Qin Wentian's body trembled slightly. The light radiating from him grew brighter and brighter, and after a long time, the entire space trembled. Qin Wentian's eyes abruptly opened as a resplendent light radiated from him. Right now, there wasn't much difference between him and the past. He was still him, the two avatars were the same person. Although Di Tian was able to think independently and had a soul of his own, his thoughts were still Qin Wentian's. Now that he had merged back together, he was still him. Upon sensing the changes in his body, a faint smile appeared in Qin Wentian's eyes. He stared at the astral souls in the sky and in an instant, beams of resplendent light radiated forth. At this moment, 16 beams of astral light shot towards Qin Wentian. These beams of astral light originated from the constellations he condensed. It was no longer 9 but 16. Chapter 1898. 16 beams of astral light, 16 constellations. The current Qin Wentian had opened 16 astral gates in his soul. In the past, his original body and his avatar each had 8 astral souls. Now, his astral souls could actually be stacked together. Qin Wentian was naturally very satisfied. This meant that he had the advantages of 2 bodies and would be able to better fuse law energies, allowing him to comprehend even stronger heavenly Tao energy. Naturally, this wasn't Qin Wentian's ultimate goal. God King Shi left behind a message for him to condense a connection with the countless constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. This was his ultimate goal, and it was clearly even more extraordinary compared to having 16 astral souls. Once he could achieve this point, he would be able to use all types of law energies in the world. There was no Tao he couldn't cultivate. As his body gradually calmed down, Qin Wentian closed his eyes again and sensed the flow of blood in his body. 2 types of bloodline energies were seething within him. The pure white color of his bloodline had long since grown even brighter. In the past, this bloodline gave Qin Wentian the ability to be immune to all poisons. After that, as Qin Wentian matured, the talent contained within his bloodline also grew stronger and stronger. Let alone poisons, even if there were any types of corrosive energy or curses, they would all be purified by this bloodline. In addition, his grandfather once said that the ultimate profoundness of his bloodline could allow him to comprehend a myriad of laws. Di Tian had once sensed that this type of bloodline energy was able to aid him in comprehending the fusion of law energies in his body. It was just that because Di Tian's main focus was on sealing energy, his later few astral souls were all of the sealing attribute. Hence, the power of his bloodline wasn't fully unleashed yet. Di Tian spent the majority of his time comprehending and protecting. It was extremely rare for him to participate in combat. The other type of bloodline, the demon god bloodline of the Luotian clan, was much more violent. It churned violently in his body. Also, when he was in Qin Wentian's body, he had already awakened his divinity-rearing talent. Right now, when his bloodline was unleashed, Qin Wentian could summon a myriad of demons. At this moment, Qin Wentian allowed the power of his bloodline to be unleashed, churning frenziedly. Qin Wentian's body was like a raging tempest as a shadow of a primordial demon god appeared behind Qin Wentian. At this instant, in the space where Qin Wentian was at, the shadow of 10,000 demonic beasts appeared. Countless demonic beasts howled in frenzy. At this moment, Qin Wentian could sense the existence of the constellations of demonic beasts in the 9 heavenly layers. It's clearer than before my body fused. Qin Wentian silently mused. In the past, before his 2 bodies merged back together, Di Tian could already do this. It's just that the feeling now was even more intense and he could clearly sense the existence of the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. In the 9 heavenly layers, there were countless constellations, and there were also countless demonic beast-attributed astral souls. Qin Wentian started to attempt to sense and form a connection with those constellations, attempting to make them shine with astral light for his own use. This was another long and boring process. However, Qin Wentian continued to work hard, attempting to do so. God King Shi was pursuing transcendence, an existence that could transcend the 9 heavenly layers. If he wanted to transcend, this was a step he had to complete. As long as he could take this step, his cultivation would definitely soar 1,000 miles in a single day and he would have a huge advantage compared to the various heavenly deities of the supreme ancient immortal realms. In that case, there would be a day when he would be able to stand at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms, peering down at the Qin clan which was unexcelled in the supreme ancient immortal realms. The Qin clan didn't only have Qin Zheng and Qin Dangtian. Qin Ding was an existence that was as famous as his grandfather, Qin Tiangang. If he was compared to Qin Zheng, he would only be stronger. This was going to be an extremely long and arduous cultivation. Qin Wentian had no distractions in his heart, tossing all distracting thoughts to the back of his mind as he focused on comprehending. Time flowed by unknowingly. In the blink of an eye, tens of years passed. Today, in the 9 heavenly layers, on a constellation, a handsome young man stood there, sensing the law attribute energy of this constellation. Fire attribute. Qin Wentian didn't have an astral soul of this attribute, but at this moment, the fire attribute energy unceasingly gushed into his body. When he truly stood on the constellation, he would be able to truly comprehend this law attribute energy and would be able to absorb it whenever he wanted. Qin Wentian waved his hands. In an instant, a terrifying fire divine formation manifested, blasting outwards, wanting to destroy everything, turning everything in the world into ashes. Evidently, he wasn't simply able to absorb the astral energy of the constellation. He could truly use it for himself. However, once he was far away from this constellation, he wouldn't be able to easily borrow its energy. Such a situation was something that Qin Wentian had experienced many times during these years. He had also attempted it many times. It's better for me to comprehend other abilities first. Qin Wentian mumbled. After that, he closed his eyes and in an instant, a terrifying storm of swords manifested above the constellation. This storm of swords seemed to contain the power of spacetime, whistling frenziedly. Numerous resplendent swords appeared around Qin Wentian as the entire world transformed into a spacetime sword domain. One flower, one world. Qin Wentian mumbled, thinking back to the scene he saw in the world of reincarnation. He closed his eyes and focused on comprehending. In an instant, the heavenly Tao spacetime sword might condensed unceasingly as an ancient sword character appeared in the air. At this moment, white candlelight flowed, the boundless sword might seem to fuse together with the ancient sword character and was sealed within it. Back then, Senior imparted to me the ancient character incantation. Only now can I comprehend a tiny bit of it. But even so, I shouldn't be weaker compared to the ancient characters around Qin Dangtian, right? Qin Wentian mumbled to himself. As the sound of his voice faded, the ancient sword character blasted out. In an instant, the entire world transformed into a sword domain. The spacetime swords traversed the void, exuding a heaven-shaking might. Such boundless energy actually erupted forth from a single ancient character. From this, one could very well imagine how terrifying it was. Qin Dangtian was also proficient in the power of ancient characters. He was said to have comprehended the Tao of 10,000 laws. The light of the ancient characters around him contained heavenly Tao energy and his combat prowess was unparalleled. But now, the technique Qin Wentian comprehended was similar to him. However, there was a slight difference. What Qin Wentian comprehended was something imparted to him by the mysterious white-robed young man in the legendary place. Naturally, what Qin Wentian could do now was merely the tip of the iceberg. He was still very far away from the true meaning of one flower, one world. But he firmly believed that if he could comprehend more Daos and use this ability, at the very least, it wouldn't be any weaker compared to Qin Dangtian's ancient characters. For Qin Wentian, other than comprehending, he would be cultivating. It was like he would never feel fatigue. Many years later, he felt that he had reached a bottleneck. Hence, he stopped his cultivation and prepared to go out for a walk to relax his mind and visit his family. It was extremely difficult for him to succeed in a single attempt. God King Shi used his entire life but he still couldn't transcend. Now, although Qin Wentian had pointed out a bright path for him, it wasn't something that could be achieved within a short period of time. Talent, comprehension, state of mind, timing, none of these were lacking. Today, Qin Wentian once again walked out of the heaven vault. He went to pay a visit to Chu Shen. After all, he promised Chu Shen that he would go and take a look. Since goddess Nikhang wasn't around, there was no need for him to feel too awkward. However, Chu Shan actually mocked Qin Wentian, causing Qin Wentian to smile bitterly. However, it seems like Chu Shan wasn't angry because of this. He seemed to be very open-minded and was very carefree. What did the words of the world have to do with him? His state of heart was clear, there was no need for him to care. In addition, he knew that back then, Qin Wentian did it to prevent his granddaughter Nikhang from risking her life. After that, Qin Wentian returned to Azure Mystic to accompany his wife and family. The atmosphere was joyous and harmonious. Right now, the cultivation bases of Qin Wentian's family members were all different from the past. Immortals could be seen everywhere, and they were also used to the fact that Qin Wentian would only return after so many years. Each of them had their own lives and were living carefreely in Azure Mystic. This place was like an otherworldly world, no one would dare to disturb them. Heaven Empyrean Qin Wentian had unified Azure Mystic, there was no one who could challenge the authority of Heaven Empyrean City. After that, Qin Wentian prepared to head to the Qingqing realm. After all, he was now the Qingqing realm lord. It has been many years since he went there. He truly wasn't qualified to be the Qingqing realm lord. After Yi Qianyu heard Qin Wentian's thoughts, she also wanted to head there. Qin Wentian naturally brought her along as well. To Yi Qianyu, although the Qingqing realm was named after Mo Qingqing and Qin, it also had an extraordinary meaning to her. Qin Wentian fought for the sake of her. In the Qingqing realm, in the Qingqing Saint Hall, other than the palace lords of the Desolate Heaven Palace, Xianyuan Palace, and Helan Palace, when the people of the Qingqing realm learned that Qin Wentian has returned, all of them felt extremely emotional in their hearts. They immediately rushed to the Qingqing realm to pay their respects to Qin Wentian. Right now, Qin Wentian's name had already circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. Their Qingqing realm lord was already a heavenly deity, a lofty heavenly deity character. In the Qingqing Saint Hall, Qin Wentian received everyone. When he saw the respectful looks on everyone's faces, they were even more sincere compared to before. In fact, there was even a hint of reverence in their eyes. To them, heavenly deities were a true legend. Their young world overlord actually became a heavenly deity in just a short few hundred years. Every time they thought of this, their hearts would tremble. Realm Lord, Xianyuan is willing to follow you until death. Can Realm Lord bring me along as a servant to serve you? The Xianyuan Palace Lord bowed. His Xianyuan clan was an aristocrat clan, how arrogant were they? Yet, they were willing to serve as a servant. The servants of heavenly deities were far from what the Xianyuan Palace Lord and the Xianyuan clan Lord could compare to. If they followed Qin Wentian, would they be able to do badly? It was said that Qin Wentian's subordinates were all world overlords. Just help me protect the Xianyuan Palace well. This is my foundation in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wentian joked, clearly rejecting the Xianyuan Palace Lord. The Xianyuan Palace Lord felt a little disappointed, but he still nodded. Alright, all of you can leave. Qin Wentian waved his hands. Everyone bowed and left, but there were still people who didn't leave. These people were none other than Jialan Jiangshan from the Jialan clan and Jialan Chuyue. Jialan, is there anything else? Qin Wentian asked. Your subordinate. Jialan Jiangshan wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Earlier, Qin Wentian has already rejected Xianyuan Palace. Where's Di Tian? Jialan Chuyue's bright eyes stared at Qin Wentian, but there was no fear in her heart at all. On the contrary, her beautiful eyes flickered with hidden bitterness. Qin Wentian stared at Jialan Chuyue's gaze as he bitterly smiled. Back then, you have already seen Di Tian. Do you still need me to say more? Now, I won't hide anything from you. I am Di Tian and Di Tian is me. He is merely an avatar of mine. Right now, we have already become one. Jialan Jiangshan's body violently trembled. This secret, Jialan Chuyue had never told him before. Now that Qin Wentian said it, he finally understood some of Jialan Chuyue's attitude. So this was actually the case. Jialan Chuyue bit her lips, she still stubbornly stared at Qin Wentian. Can I follow you? Why do you want to follow me? Qin Wentian asked. Can't I be your maid and serve you? Jialan Chuyue spoke with hidden bitterness. Qin Wentian glanced at Jialan Jiangshan. Did you ask her to do this? Jialan Jiangshan's gaze froze. Jialan Chuyue spoke, I'm willing to do this myself. You are now a heavenly deity. Could it be that I'm not even qualified to be a maid? Qin Wentian stared at the stubborn expression of the beauty before him as a bitter smile appeared on his face. It was the hardest to accept a beauty's kindness. He couldn't help but to think of Beauty Xiao as he felt a faint sense of sadness in his heart. Chapter 1899. Qin Wentian felt a faint sense of guilt towards Beauty Xiao. It was the same for Jialan Chuyue. Back then, it was true that he made use of Jialan Chuyue, using the identity of Di Tian to deceive her. He remembered that back then, Jialan Chuyue often came to look for Di Tian and loved to appear before him. How could Qin Wentian not understand her thoughts? Right now, she said that she only wanted to be a maid. Could it be that she was not worthy enough? Qin Wentian truly didn't know how to reject her. If he did that, his heart would seem too ruthless. But so what if he brought her along? Life was still so long in the future, maybe she was just acting on impulse. Beside Qin Wentian, Yi Qianyu smiled as she stared at Qin Wentian. This fellow truly knew how to attract beauties. She could naturally tell that Qin Wentian was in a difficult position and couldn't help but to speak, I'm lacking a maid by my side. Why don't you follow me? Naturally, if you regret in the future, you can just say a word and you can leave at any time. Are you willing? Upon hearing Yi Qianyu's words, Qin Wentian started. Jialan Chuyue's beautiful eyes also froze as she stared at Yi Qianyu. Upon seeing the smile in Yi Qianyu's eyes, her gaze flickered with stubbornness. She knew that if she said this, others might look down on her, especially when Qin Wentian's woman, Yi Qianyu, was still beside him. But even so, she still chose to say this. If she didn't say it, she would definitely regret it. Jialan Chuyue glanced at Qin Wentian again. After that, she bit her lips and stared at Yi Qianyu with a stubborn gaze. Fine, I will follow you. Yi Qianyu naturally could sense the conflict in Jialan Chuyue's heart. But she didn't mind it and smiled, it's decided then. As she spoke, her beautiful eyes glanced at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian smiled bitterly but he didn't say anything. Go back and make your preparations first. We will only stay in the Qingqing realm for a few days before leaving. Qin Wentian spoke. Jialan Jiangshan and Jialan Chuyue nodded and departed. After everyone left, Qin Wentian stared at Yi Qianyu. Qianyu, you are really, I'm doing this for your own good. In the future, if you're willing, I'll even give you a maid to warm your room. Look at how wonderful that is. If you're not willing, I'll be the bad guy and torment her for a while. Then, she'll naturally leave. Yi Qianyu giggled. Qin Wentian bitterly smiled and was speechless. Oh yeah, those who followed you in the past didn't abandon you even after you met with misfortune. This time around, bring them along. That lion cub and Su Li, I will focus on nurturing them. And, thank you, husband. Do you want me to serve you well? Yi Qianyu smiled charmingly, leaning against Qin Wentian, causing one's heart to itch unbearably. This female vixen. After a sleepless night, the next day, the Mo clan leader, Mo Fei, and Mo Junyi came to seek an audience with him. Mo Fei had always been a follower of Di Tian, as well as Mo Junyi. At that time, Mo Junyi was the same as Jialan Chuyue, frequently coming to look for him. But this time around, Qin Wentian truly didn't dare to bring her along. He was afraid of delaying her, hence he rejected the Mo clan. However, he would naturally repay the Mo clan for their help in the past. In the future, the Mo clan of Lifire City would definitely become one of the strongest aristocratic clans in the Qingqing realm. After the people of the Qingqing realm learned of the Realm Lord's return, countless experts gathered outside the Qingqing Saint Hall, hoping to meet with the Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wentian. Right now, to the people of the Qingqing realm, Qin Wentian was already a legendary character. His legend spread to every corner of the realm, everyone knew about him. Just think about it, a young man who rose up in the Qingqing realm, killing the lifelong Realm Lord and ascending to become a lofty heavenly deity. How could such a legend not be spread around? Qin Wentian has long become the religion of the people of the Qingqing realm. Qin Wentian, who was in the Qingqing Saint Hall, naturally saw the situation outside the Qingqing Saint Hall. Below the flight of stairs, there was a sea of people. It was unknown how many people had gathered here. Most probably, everyone in the entire city had rushed over here. Qin Wentian had a bitter smile on his face. This was the influence of a heavenly deity. In a place like the Qingqing realm, the appearance of a heavenly deity was simply unimaginable. The countless people outside the Qingqing Saint Hall all had a fanatical look in their eyes. Heavenly deities were characters that only existed in legends. However, a heavenly deity actually appeared in their Qingqing realm, and it was none other than the legendary character of the Qingqing realm. He first defeated the Lifire Empyrean, and after that, he killed the lifelong Realm Lord because of a woman. This was especially so for some young men and women, all of them wanted to meet this legendary heavenly deity. This legendary heavenly deity was their idol. At this moment, in front of the Qingqing Saint Hall, a white-robed figure appeared out of nowhere, standing before the eyes of the people of the Qingqing realm. He didn't seem to exude any aura, appearing so ordinary and ordinary. However, he was also so transcendent. Just by casually standing there, he was like a unique existence in this world. Everyone was first stunned. After that, countless people cheered, Realm Lord. Heavenly deity. The hearts of countless people trembled. A heavenly deity appeared before them. Many people even knelt on the ground, prostrating themselves in worship. This was a living divinity, a true divinity. Although I'm a heavenly deity, I was once a mortal as well. I stood at the place where you all are and stared at the silhouette of the lifelong Realm Lord. I can still remember that back then, the lifelong Realm Lord was lofty and lofty. Even his beautiful concubines were worshipped by the people of the world. Qin Wentian slowly spoke. He stared at everyone and smiled. So, although you guys are looking up at me today, if you have the heart, maybe there will be a day in the future when you all can stand here like me, staring at a different scenery of the world. Who said that a deity is unattainable? You and I are all mortals, who would be born lofty and lofty. When everyone heard Qin Wentian's words, the atmosphere suddenly turned incomparably quiet. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. After that, countless people felt their hearts surging as their blood boiled. Just a single sentence from Qin Wentian seemed to have ignited the flames in their hearts. This was the legendary heavenly deity of their Qingqing realm. Although he stood at a very lofty position and was worshipped by the people of the world, his words were also filled with a sense of encouragement, causing people to respect him from the bottom of their hearts. You and I are all mortals, who would be born lofty and lofty. Maybe there will be a day in the future when you all can stand here like me, staring at a different scenery of the world. Who said that a deity is unattainable? If these words were spoken by other heavenly deities, they wouldn't feel anything. But these words came from the mouth of Qin Wentian. Everyone was very familiar with his history. Who didn't know that he once stared up at the lifelong Realm Lord? He was once as insignificant as a speck of dust. But now, what sort of height did he stand at? From a mortal to a heavenly deity. Qin Wentian smiled. After that, many figures appeared behind him. Yi Qianyu, the evil emperor, the little lion, Su Li, Jialan Chuyue, and the others were all here. Qin Wentian initially wanted to stay for a few days, but he didn't expect his appearance would cause such a huge commotion. It was better for him not to stay. His group of people soared into the air and directly vanished from sight. Only now did the silent space erupt with tsunami-like cheers. Even more people knelt to send Qin Wentian off. Because of a single sentence from Qin Wentian, they felt even more respect for him. Most probably, they would never be able to forget this scene in their entire lives. The legend of the Qingqing realm, heavenly deity Qin Wentian. He told the people of the world that you and I are all mortals, who would be born lofty and lofty. This sentence became the motto of countless people in the Qingqing realm, following them for their entire lives. So much so that many years later, when more legendary characters appeared in the Qingqing realm, these legendary characters would always feel gratitude towards this heavenly deity whom they had only met once before. Naturally, the faith in their hearts at that time had already become a legend of the supreme ancient immortal realms. 200 years have already passed since the opening of the heaven vault. However, the storm still persisted. More and more world overlords who rose up later on headed to the heaven vault, advancing wave after wave. To the supreme ancient immortal realms, this was especially so for heavenly deities and world overlords. Even 10,000 years wasn't long, let alone 200 years. Many of the older world overlords would enter closed-door seclusion for hundreds of years each time. It wouldn't be strange if the storm lasted for tens of thousands of years, let alone a miraculous place like the Heaven Vault, a secret realm that could connect to the 9 heavenly layers. Naturally, although 100 years wasn't a long period of time, to the experts who entered the Heaven Vault, their improvements were extremely great. Their speed could be described as flying 1,000 miles in a single day. They had truly stepped onto a constellation and could sense the heavenly Tao energy on it at a close distance. Many people comprehended their Taos, and those world overlords who once shook the heavens and earth successively became heavenly deities. The speed of inheritances seemed to have increased. In the past, it might take 10,000 years or even longer before a new generation of inheritances could be passed down. But because of the appearance of the Heaven Vault, only a few hundred years passed, the later generations gradually caught up. As for the earlier generations, many of them were still stuck in the gods' extinction path. And during these 200+ years, Qin Wentian could no longer be mentioned in the same breath as the past. During these years, other than cultivating, he would only occasionally accompany his loved ones. Right now, many people around him like Qin, Nanfeng Yaoyue, Chongqing the Great and the others were all brought into the Heaven Vault by Qin Wentian, allowing them to cultivate in the Heaven Vault and sense the heavenly Tao at a close distance. As for Qin, and the others, Qin Wentian would even act as their protectors and bring them up to the constellations, allowing them to comprehend the heavenly Tao and increase their strength. Everyone was improving, leaping by leaps and bounds. Qin Wentian has already corroborated his Tao and stepped into the deity realm. He didn't wish for himself to be too lonely. He hoped that his loved ones could follow him and see the scenery at this level. But clearly, not everyone had the same level of talent as him. If one wanted to comprehend the heavenly Tao, even if they had the Heaven Vault, they still needed time and good fortune. It wasn't something that could be accomplished within a short period of time. Naturally, the one who improved the most during these years was none other than Qin Wentian himself. Other than comprehending various Taos, the number of constellations he could sense grew more and more numerous. Right now, he could gather astral energy from many constellations into his body, slowly accumulating bit by bit. He believed that there would be a day where he would undergo a transformation and complete the final step. Today, in the Qin clan, Qin Ding exited seclusion and ended his cultivation. After that, he learned that his son, daughter-in-law and grandson had all entered the Heaven Vault and entered the gods' extinction path. Right now, there was no news of them. He also heard that Qin Yuanfeng might still be alive. Qin Yuanfeng's son, Qin Wentian, had appeared in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Chapter 1900 In the boundless starry space of the heaven vault, Qin Wentian had his eyes closed in cultivation. Beams of astral light from different constellations cascaded down on him. If it was in the past, with so much astral energy, Qin Wentian's cultivation would definitely soar by leaps and bounds. But things were different now. He was already a heavenly deity. Heavenly deities focused on comprehending the Tao. Astral energy was merely the foundation for unleashing Tao arts. Qin Wentian's purpose wasn't to absorb astral energy unceasingly. Rather, it was to sense the constellations in the sky. It has been over 200 years. Although he had been improving unceasingly, he still hadn't succeeded. At this moment, Qin Wentian circulated the undying scripture. His soul seemed to have left his body as numerous illusory figures walked out from his body, heading towards the boundless starry space. Boundless soul energy gushed towards the constellations in the sky. Each soul wisp occupied a different location. This scene continued for a very, very long time, until Qin Wentian could already sense that the boundless starry space, the 9 heavenly layers, his soul energy seemed to be everywhere. Qin Wentian used all sorts of methods but he still couldn't comprehend anything. Right now, he was trying to use the undying scripture's ability to divide soul energy, allowing his soul to transform into countless soul wisps, heading to every corner of the starry space to sense the existence of the constellations. However, these constellations were truly endless, it was unknown how many there were. Qin Wentian's soul shadow occupied countless locations in the starry space but he still had no idea how long it would take before it could completely envelop the 9 heavenly layers. The current him still didn't have the ability to be like God King Shi, using his will to envelop the 9 heavenly layers. Although he had no way to envelop the constellations, as time flowed by, a boundless starry space appeared in Qin Wentian's mind. As he stood within it, countless scenes of soul energy were transmitted to him. These scenes were extremely shocking and majestic, far more majestic compared to him standing alone in the 9 heavenly layers and staring up at the starry space. At this moment, Qin Wentian felt how insignificant humans were, like specks of dust. However, it was this existence that was as insignificant as a speck of dust that could reach the 9 heavens and even surpass everything. In that moment, Qin Wentian had the feeling that all of the stars in the sky were different, but at the same time, they were all the same. They were all shining with light, and no matter where Qin Wentian's soul was, he could sense the majesty of the 9 heavens. Qin Wentian was enlightened. In the 9 heavenly layers, there were countless constellations. In reality, all of the astral light from the constellations could be absorbed by you. However, because of the existence of constellations, humans could only see a single constellation and absorb the light from it. Why? Why was this happening? Was it because of astral souls? However, given his current cultivation base, even if he didn't condense an astral soul, he would still be able to sense the existence of the constellations in the starry space. Since this was the case, would astral souls help stellar martial cultivators in their cultivation or would they restrict their cultivation? Qin Wentian's heart trembled as a bolt of inspiration flashed through his mind. In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, in the world of reincarnation, why was he able to comprehend all sorts of law attributes? Because, in that place, he didn't have anything from the outside world. He didn't have any astral souls. As long as he could sense the existence of a particular law attribute, he would be able to comprehend it. If this boundless universe truly existed in a world outside the supreme ancient immortal realms, would they be able to cultivate like the people of the supreme ancient immortal realms? The world of reincarnation was created by that powerful and mysterious white-robed young man. Since one could comprehend all sorts of law attributes, why couldn't the supreme ancient immortal realms do the same? Why did God King Shi leave behind a message saying that if the astral energy from the 9 heavenly layers descended upon me, the tiny astral being would transform into his 9th astral soul? What's the meaning of the existence of the 9th astral soul? Or should I say, does it really need to exist? An extremely brazen idea suddenly appeared in Qin Wentian's heart. He sensed the astral gate in his soul. This was a well-known rule in the cultivation world. A single astral gate could only contain a single astral soul. In that case, he wanted to see what would happen if he condensed an astral soul at the same time. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath, his heart was incomparably resolute. It has been so many years but he still hasn't succeeded. He had to give it a try no matter what. Even if he failed, he wouldn't hesitate. His soul and his perception descended upon many different constellations. For stellar martial cultivators, before they condensed their astral souls, they wouldn't be restricted by the law attributes. As long as their perception could reach the 9 heavenly layers, they would be able to condense an astral soul of any law attribute. But now, his perception could reach the 9 heavenly layers. The cultivation of humans originally had no limits. Why should there be restrictions? At this moment, Qin Wentian's heart was incomparably resolute. His boundless soul energy and perception descended upon the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. At this moment, Qin Wentian felt as though he was in the center of the boundless starry sky. Boundless astral light flowed towards him, entering his astral gate. When the astral light descended, it wasn't like in the past, he didn't condense an astral soul. Because this time around, Qin Wentian wasn't attempting to condense a single astral soul. He was attempting to condense an endless amount of astral light. Boom! Qin Wentian's astral gate trembled violently. After that, his soul trembled as well. An incomparably intense pain pierced through Qin Wentian's soul, as though his soul was about to explode. Within the astral gate, all sorts of chaotic astral light frenziedly struggled, wanting to cause the astral gate to explode. Did he fail? Qin Wentian silently mused. What a crazy and bold idea. Could it be that it was merely his wishful thinking? That's right, how many experts in the world, how many outstanding characters in the history of the supreme ancient immortal realms? Could it be that none of them had attempted this? However, who could break through the limits of the heavens and earth? Was this the order of the supreme ancient immortal realms? Since the ancient times until now, the existence of an unbreakable order. Qin Wentian was filled with reluctance. If his soul exploded, even if he cultivated the undying scripture, he wouldn't be able to survive. But he was truly filled with reluctance. 200 years have passed and he still failed to accomplish this. In that case, how should he continue on this path? At this moment, Qin Wentian didn't think of anything else. He only thought of God King Shi and the words his grandfather told him. His grandfather believed that Qin Wentian would be able to create history. God King Shi wanted to transcend. He didn't care about anything, even if he died, he still wanted to transcend. He wasn't willing to be bound by the 9 heavenly layers, he wanted to control the 9 heavenly layers. Although he failed, his soul transformed into the tiny astral being that contained a starry sky within. He hoped that someone in the future would be able to accomplish this. Right now, he inherited God King Shi's tiny astral being. If he wanted to surpass the 9 heavenly layers, he naturally had to do something that no one in the past had done before, something that no one dared to do. Right now, he already had an epiphany and had already reached this step. He wasn't willing to fail. Qin Wentian could firmly believe that the path he was walking on should be correct. His epiphany wouldn't be wrong. The problem now was whether he dared to take this step or not. If he took the wrong step, he might be consigned to eternal damnation. Should he continue? Qin Wentian was conflicted in his heart. God King Shi, the tiny astral being you transformed into once saved my life. If I die, I hope you can still manifest your spirit and protect a wisp of my soul from being destroyed. Qin Wentian seemed to be mumbling to himself. He chose to continue. If he wanted great fortune, he naturally had to be fearless. If he didn't dare to take that step, how could he talk about transcending? When he was young, he had already shattered his meridians and stepped on the path of cultivation. Now that he was already a heavenly deity, he clearly knew that what he did was correct. Why wouldn't he dare? Why wouldn't he dare to challenge the order of the heavens and earth? Boundless astral light from different constellations frenziedly gushed into the astral gate in Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness, where his soul was located. At this moment, Qin Wentian's astral gate seemed to contain the countless constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. Qin Wentian's soul erupted with a thunderous boom. The boundless soul energy outside the astral gate shattered as his soul trembled violently. In the depths of Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness, the heavens and earth seemed to be split apart. That incomparably terrifying energy directly caused Qin Wentian to lose consciousness. His body was still floating in the boundless starry space, like a speck of dust, so tiny and insignificant. In the 9 heavenly layers, in the boundless starry space, a body that resembled a speck of dust floated there, drifting aimlessly in the starry space. No one discovered it either. The starry space was too vast, too vast. A corpse was merely a speck of dust. This speck of dust was none other than Qin Wentian's body. He had no idea how long he had been drifting and how long he had been in slumber. Today, the floating Qin Wentian suddenly moved his fingers. He seemed to have regained a trace of consciousness. After that, his eyes opened, and they were as resplendent as the constellations in the starry space. In an instant, he straightened his body and stood stably in the boundless starry space. "I'm still alive, I'm still alive." Qin Wentian mumbled in a low voice as a smile appeared on his face. Being alive was undoubtedly a wonderful thing. His will sank into his sea of consciousness, sensing the astral door. When he sensed the changes inside, Qin Wentian was completely stunned. He stood in the starry space for a long time before a smile gradually appeared on his face. That smile was intoxicated and satisfied. He closed his eyes and slowly stretched out his arms, embracing the starry space. From today onwards, the boundless starry space, the 9 heavenly layers, the countless constellations, they are all under my control. In the starry space, Qin Wentian's voice was ethereal, reverberating in the boundless starry space. At this moment, above the heavens, beams of starlight cascaded down, landing on his body. At this instant, Qin Wentian was no longer a speck of dust. The light radiating from him was as resplendent as the constellations in the 9 heavenly layers. When the boundless astral light cascaded onto him, he was like the brightest constellation in the 9 heavenly layers. At this instant, in the boundless starry space, countless gazes involuntarily turned towards the same direction. They saw the most resplendent radiance in the 9 heavenly layers, the brightest star. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.